All right, it's now 12:52 on this Thursday. We've got a tornado warning that's just been issued for Sumter County in West Alabama. The storm we were just talking about at around 12:30 or so that was over Meridian. That's the one we've been watching, and the National Weather Service going ahead and triggering a tornado warning for Sumter County in West Alabama. And again, this storm is moving generally towards the northeast at a pretty good clip. And I want to take you into that storm and show you what we've got. And I tell you what, let me put on the velocity display and we will see a better vantage point of the rotation within this thunderstorm. So again, brand new tornado warning issued for Sumter County in West Alabama. This is our first tornado warning of the day for our coverage area, and it's that little area of rotation just below Cuba. All right, so again, this could continue off towards the northeast. That's Highway 80 that runs over to Saltwell that crosses the Tombigbee River in northwest Marengo County. There's York, Livingston. The Parker area, that is Highway 11 that runs parallel to Interstate 2059. That rotating thunderstorms are moving off towards the northeast. Pretty good clip. So again, if you are near Cuba or York or Livingston, this is going to be generally along Highway 80 to the east of Cuba. That's our main area concern, is near and to the east of Cuba, all the way over to the Marengo County line. So let me check the information on that tornado warning there for Sumter County in West Alabama. And so far, there's no other storms of concern. At the moment, it's moving northeast at 50 miles per hour. The tornado warning goes until 1:30 this afternoon. So if you are getting those alerts, that is the information on that. So tornado warning for Sumter County only. In Alabama, there's no other counties currently under warning. That goes until 1:30. So let's show you what's happening out there. Let's do a track on this thing and get you a better vantage point of this particular thunderstorm. So I'm going to zoom you out just a bit. And I'll go back to that and show you a larger view across central Alabama. And while we're on here, we are also streaming on Facebook Live. You search for the WVUA 23 Facebook page. I believe, Alex, are we on that now? If we are, just let me know. Okay, so we are also on Facebook Live. Thank you. So we got a lot of rain to the north of that tornadic thunderstorm. This is the only storm of concern right now. We don't see any additional rotating thunderstorms at the moment. There's a lot of rain north of that storm, but that is it on our radar. So let's go back down to this thing and show you what's happening. Again, for the cities of Tuscaloosa and Northport, we got rain and thunderstorms that's in the area, but we don't see any sign of that becoming severe at the moment. Our storm of concern is down here. In fact, it's right over the Cuba area. You see that large thunderstorm that's kind of out there by itself that's showing that sign of rotation. Let me put on the tornado warning Polygon and show you where it is. This does not include Marengo County. This includes Sumter County from basically Epps down to the south. University of West Alabama right there in Livingston. That's Highway 28 that runs from Highway 80 up to the northwest there into Livingston. And anybody along Highway 28 from Livingston down to Highway 80, we don't want you driving on the roadway. Pull over, let this thing pass on by. It's moving northeast at 50 miles per hour. Based off the environment, I would not expect this thing to continue very long, but this thing is clearly rotating now and has the potential to produce a tornado there in Sumter County. But again, the rotation is just on the south side of Cuba, really very close to Highway 80 now. So that's the tornado warning Polygon until 1:30. Let's do a track on this thing. I need to zoom out just a tad so you can see a better. Let me pan over to the east just a bit, and I'm going to do a track on this thing, show you that northeast movement at 50 miles per hour. So let's zoom out. Again, I do want to remind you until 6 o'clock, there's a tornado watch for all the counties in yellow. That does include Pickens and Tuscaloosa and Jefferson and Point South, but I really think the main concern for tornado is going to be near this Highway 80 corridor over the next few hours. So again, there's your rotation right there, moving northeast at 50 miles per hour. So let's do a path on this thing. These are the times of arrival. This is what time the potential tornado could be in your area. Now, this isn't a confirmed tornado. This is a possible tornado. This is radar indicated. So, again, if you see something where you are, let us know. If you want to comment on our Facebook Live page, the WVUA 23 Facebook page, we can see that information and get that damage report out to you. But again, these are the times of arrival. If you're in York, we're looking at 1:03. Livingston, we got the University of West Alabama in Livingston. That's the time frame for you, 1:14. You got Old Bluffport there, 1:21. Belmont, You look at a 127. Forkland, that's over in Greene County. There's not technically a tornado warning for Greene County yet, but if this does continue, these are the times of arrival. And I would not expect it to be as far north as Utah. Technically, again, Greene County's not in the tornado warning polygon, but our kind of pan here where this thing could shift north or south. Utah, we're looking at 144. Melton area 150. Again, I think it's going to be south of there if it does continue once it crosses the Tombigbee River. So let's take this off. Let's go back into our velocity. Let's just look at this thing together. And I tell you what, while we do that, let me check here the Weather Service. We're in constant chat with the National Weather Service, and let's just see if they are seeing anything. And so far, they are not. So that is a good sign. Let's see. Yeah, a lot of folks are asking me about weather for their area. I think some people don't realize there's a current tornado warning going on there. So in Sumter County, this is where we're concerned about. So for anybody curious about other parts of the state, let me show you everybody out there real quick, because I know there's a lot of interest in other parts of Alabama. I'm going to take you over to Birmingham Radar. Let me zoom out and give you a wide view. Again, tornado warning for Sumter County till 1:30. This is everybody out there. And look, this stuff from really Moundville points north, this is disorganized rain and thunderstorms. Our only storm of concern that's rotating is coming into southwest Sumter County, very close to the Cuba area. There's Demopolis, Linden, Myrtlewood. In Marengo County, there's not a tornado warning for you. If anything, I would expect this thing to move more east-northeast rather than northeast. But again, so if you're in, say, Forkland or Demopolis in North Marengo or southern Greene County, there may be an extension of that tornado warning for you, but right now that's not happening. So 1:30 is our time frame for this particular tornado warning. But again, for everybody joining us, other parts of Alabama, there's no indication of anything severe up here in this part of the state. Our concern is down here to the south of Tuscaloosa, especially south of Moundville, and this atmosphere that's a little more conducive for severe weather. Up here, things are a little more stable. Yes, there's rain, there's lightning, there's thunder, there's a flood watch in effect. Some of us, even Pickens, Tuscaloosa, and Jefferson County, we've got a tornado watch technically in those counties till 6 o'clock. Now, the cold front itself is already back here in East Mississippi. That's it. This is coming to East Mississippi. Once that front passes east of you, your temperature will dramatically drop this afternoon, so that will take care of any sort of risk of severe weather. That's our storm of concern in Sumter County. So again, just to reiterate, everybody from Hamilton to Tuscaloosa to Birmingham, we don't see any indication of severe weather in that area right now. So we're going to watch it. Let's go down to the south to take you into that storm of concern. That's why we're on TV. That's why we're on Facebook Live. We're coming up on 1 o'clock now. And if your weather radios are going off, your smartphone alerts are going off, if you're seeing those messages across your screen on TV, that's because there's a tornado warning down here in Sumter County. Now, for people interested in major cities like Tuscaloosa and Northport, this storm most likely will remain well to the southeast of Tuscaloosa and Northport. But again, we're watching it. Let's just track this thing along with you. There's our area concern down there close to Cuba. Let's put on the velocity. I want to look at the wind inside this thing. And I will say this, this storm is in a weird spot. It's going to be tough to be able to see winds that are low enough for us to be able to identify a tornado or not. But there's rotation right there near Cuba. Let me take you into that. So if you're in Cuba, if you're on Highway 80, if you're in a car, you've got to get out of that. If you're in a mobile home, still seek shelter elsewhere. Get out of a mobile home. That's never a good place to be during a tornado. Even if it's a weak tornado that doesn't last long, an EF0, EF1 could be a threat to your life. So Cuba, there's your potential tornado there. That's US 80. That's Highway 17 that runs all the way up and down West Alabama, goes up into Pickens County and northern Sumter County there towards Geiger, ML. This is all way south of there. This is south of the Interstate 2059 corridor, basically on top of Cuba. So again, that's where area rotation is right now over Cuba. Weather Service mentions, this is some good news for you. National Weather Service mentioning the circulation south of Cuba now is not as strong as it was, but doesn't mean that it's over. We are not There's no information on whether the National Weather Service is going to extend this tornado warning to Greene County. They're going to continue at least for now. But the good news is, according to the Weather Service, the rotation is not as tight as it once was. I mean, we can see there's no doubt there's something going on down here. The air is circulating in the atmosphere, but again, where this thing is, it is thousands of feet off the ground. So this thing is way up off the ground, the radar beam. So it's hard to see what's actually happening down at the ground level. But if you're on Highway 80, let's treat it like there's a tornado. I would say from, I'd say the Cuba exit all the way over to let's say the Tombigbee River. So if you're all the way over the Tombigbee River to the Cuba exit on 80, let's pull over now, find a place to go. I know there's not a whole lot of places you can stop there on 80. But we don't want you traveling. If you can potentially avoid this area, try to do so. This is going to move on out pretty quickly. It's not going to last very long. The rotation now getting on the east side of Cuba there. Again, that's Interstate 2059 in Sumter County. You got York there. And I will say this, if you are in Livingston, the University of West Alabama, I think the chance for tornado that far north is really dropping now. It looks like it's going to be mainly to your southeast. As I was talking about, the environment is conducive for this thing to turn more east-northeast rather than more towards the north, which is good news for major cities like Tuscaloosa and Northport and Birmingham. This thing will move more along Highway 80 and then cross into Greene County. So I know technically there's not a tornado warning for Greene County, but if you are south of Utah in Greene County, I would watch it carefully, be ready to seek shelter. There's not a warning yet for you, but just be ready and on guard for that potential. But again, there's the Ward area, Kennerbush right there. That's at the very bottom of your screen. That's Choctaw County. That's a Choctaw County line. This circulation is clearly north of Choctaw County, but York, you need to be sheltered. There's more there. You got Bellamy up at the top of your screen over there, top corner of your screen. That's where we're looking at for that potential. So again, that's that rotating thunderstorm. Let me put on, let's take the Columbus radar. I think we'll get a better view of this thing from Columbus. And yeah, it's just in a bad spot. You know, West Alabama, this area, Sumter, Marengo, Choctaw counties, we desperately need a radar down here. We just need it because we can't see what's happening way down where we need to see it. We're sampling the raindrops, we're sampling the wind, thousands of feet off the ground, and there's a desperate need for a radar down here in southwest Alabama. If you're from this area, this is something we've all battled. All the meteorologists, not just me, everybody in the Birmingham TV market, in the Meridian market, Montgomery market, we are all struggling with radar here because there's not one nearby. Understand the radar beam is at a slight tilt at about 0.5 degrees, and what happens is the curvature of the earth and that slight tilt that causes your radar to be way up off the ground the further away you get from it. So we're looking at a radar north of Columbus. We got one in Jackson, Mississippi, one in Mobile, Alabama, and we got another radar in Shelby County. Again, there's a big hole here where we just can't see what's happening close to the ground level. So the best word of advice, even though we see that rotation may be weakening just a bit in Sumter, let's treat it like there could be a tornado there. We don't know if there's one there. We haven't had any reports of damage yet. We haven't seen any confirmation of a tornado. Hopefully that trend will continue, but we can't guarantee it. So let's just treat it like there could still be one down. Let's go over to the Birmingham radar and let's just look at this thing together. Again, it's hard to see this thing, but you can kind of tell where your more intense part of the thunderstorm is. We'll try Jackson, Mississippi. And again, same thing. We're way up off the ground. Let's go to Mobile, Alabama. And we're just looking at this thing together, again, way off the ground. So this is going to be a tough indication to be able to see this thing. So let's put on the velocity. That's our best bet to be able to see the wind speed. And again, there's your rotation right on top of Highway 80 at the interchange of Highway 17. Now, Highway 17 runs up towards the north. There's York there. This goes all the way up to ML, Geiger, way up into West Alabama. The highway runs parallel to the West Alabama state line, goes down to the south, goes into Butler. Again, this is all north of the Choctaw County line. This is generally north of Ward now, but if you are from York to Sloan there to, I would say, really anybody from the University of West Alabama in Livingston down to the south to that interchange of Highway 28 and Highway 80. That's our main target area for this potential tornado. So let's move this thing around just a bit and see if we can grab the Birmingham velocity. Let's just see. Okay, there we go. Again, there's not much rotation there. There's enough for the Weather Service to continue this tornado warning, but it's not as impressive as it once was. Just checking here with the Weather Service. They're going to continue this tornado warning for Sumter. Just a couple of minutes ago, put this out. Thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado near York and Cuba, moving northeast at 40 miles per hour. So the speeds come down just a bit on the scene. It was moving about 50. So this thing is continuing to move off towards the northeast, if not east-northeast. So not seeing any indication of anything to the north of there. So again, for a lot of folks who are watching in other parts of Alabama, I know we've got some thunderstorms out there. I'm just kind of looking behind the scenes here of other storms, and I do not see any indication of anything severe. Look at the cold front. Now, this thing is clearly coming in now to West Alabama. We got 42 in Columbus, Mississippi. It's 69 here in Tuscaloosa. So I do want to remind you that we're also on Facebook Live, and I tell you what, I'm on my computer behind the scenes here. I'm going to share this on our weather page, because if you are looking for our tornado coverage on Facebook, you can find us on the WVUA 23 Facebook page. I'm going to put us on our weather page right now. I do want to also remind you there is a tornado watch, and that is in effect until 6 o'clock for portions of central Alabama. So let me show you that. This is a look at radar. Rain amounts so far today, those are going to really add up over the next several hours. This is our futurecast model you see into tonight. It's going to rain a lot. The winter weather issues should remain just to our northwest, but west Mississippi, this thing is going to be a big deal for you. So that's what we're looking at there. Rain amounts, again, 2 to 3 inches across central Alabama. Let me go back and show you what we got. Here's a look at radar, and you see this radar loop. There's that one tornadic thunderstorm in Sumter County, and that is it. The Weather Service is going to continue that tornado warning until 1:30, so for another 26, 25 minutes now. That's what we're looking at for that tornado warning, the potential tornado. This is definitely not a confirmed tornado, but it has that possibility to produce one, and that's what we're looking at there. I do also want to remind you weather information online on Facebook and Twitter. I know a lot of folks are watching us on Facebook Live right now. That is on the WVUA 23 Facebook page. You can see us on there, also on TV. So if you have severe weather in your area and you lose power, or you have satellite, you get the rain fade. Some folks deal with that. You get a rain fade with your satellite service, and you just kind of left in the dark of what's happening. You can pop on your smartphone or tablet, whatever you got there, your computer, and see us on Facebook Live. So just share that away to the WVUA 23 Richard Scott page, but we're also on the WVUA 23 Facebook page as well. All right, so watch warning map. Technically, we still have a tornado watch for Pickens, Tuscaloosa, Jefferson County, points south, and that goes until 6 o'clock this evening. I will say this. I think the primary concern for a brief tornado is going to be down here south of Moundville. I don't think there's much of a threat for the cities of Tuscaloosa and Birmingham, kind of north of the better instability, but it's something we'll watch. Here's a look at the radar, and this is it. This is our only batch of thunderstorms that could potentially be severe. There's nothing else behind this that's developing. In fact, this is going to rob all the energy in the atmosphere. If anything, that storm down there could be more interesting. Hey, we got information now of a confirmed tornado in Sumter County. All right, I see that pink polygon that showed up there. Let's go down into Sumter County. Now have a confirmed tornado down right over the York and Cuba area. Let's go down into that storm and show you. I just saw that pink polygon pop up. But we have a red tornado warning polygon, but when it turns pink, that is a confirmed tornado there. So again, this is a dangerous situation now. We have a confirmed tornado. This thing must be spinning up pretty quick now. So if you are in Livingston and York, you got to be in shelter now. So the National Weather Service issuing a tornado warning saying this thing is confirmed. So let's look at the correlation coefficient. I want to see what they are looking at and see if we can see this thing together. And it is awfully noisy down there. So I'm not sure if they are getting law enforcement reports or what they are seeing. The National Weather Service has put on our velocity. And again, there's certainly some evidence of rotation there. This is near Highway 80. There's Highway 28 that runs from Livingston down to Highway 80. If you are familiar with this area, that's Marengo County there. That's the Tombigbee River behind the banner there. And Highway 80 runs back to the west. You can split off on 28 to go to Livingston to the University of West Alabama. But the Weather Service mentioning between York and Livingston, just on the south side of Highway 11, there's a confirmed tornado here. So they are saying there's a tornado there. All right, so here's a new update. And no doubt this velocity signature looks much better than it did just a few minutes ago. This thing certainly cycled. It was trending down for a brief amount of time. Now this thing is really beefed back up. So we got a tornado down right here in Sumter County. Let's look at the information on this thing and see what we've got. And again, I would be interested to see what the EMA officials are seeing down there in Sumter County. I believe, Steve, we got you in the control room. If you are hearing anything from the EMA office down in Sumter County, I would be interested to see if there's any damage so far. All right, gate-to-gate wind shear, that is 91 miles an hour, so nearly 100-mile-an-hour gate-to-gate shear. That's possibly a tornado with that. So again, the Weather Service confirming this tornado. It's coming up on 28. So again, if you're in Livingston down to the Highway 80 interchange, the turnoff there on 80, you got to pull over. We don't want you in a car on that road in Sumter County. Again, 28. Again, that's an area we're talking about. A lot of trees, a lot of curves, a lot of hills there. So you're not going to see this tornado coming up on you. There's Moortown. There's Brewersville there. Cortopa right there. You're going to be in danger of this potential tornado. That, again, this is going to be crossing 28 somewhere between Livingston and the turnoff on Highway 80 in Sumter County. So that's what we're talking about. All right, let me check with the Weather Service real quick and see what we've got, because they mentioned that confirmed tornado. Okay, so yeah, they're seeing a small debris signature. There is no, okay, we're seeing powers out in York in Sumter County. So again, a confirmed tornado based off of a tornado debris signature. Let's look at this thing together. I'm going to clear this off, and let's look at the correlation coefficient and see if we can see this thing together. If we can see the debris, we'll know exactly where it is. Weather Service mentioning right here, this little spot here. I know it's noisy, it's tough to see, but the Weather Service mentioning that little spot right there, they believe is debris that's being lofted. And understand that takes a tornado to lift debris into the atmosphere. And what you're looking at, this is different size raindrops in the atmosphere. And we got this little spot here where the radar beam is seeing some different size objects. And it doesn't think it's rain. It thinks it's something odd in the air that shouldn't be there. So most likely that would be debris from a tornado. It's not screaming obvious, but there could be something there for sure. So let's treat this like a tornado's down. The Weather Service saying this is a confirmed tornado. Here's a new update on the velocity. That little tight couplet right there, that's coming up on Brewersville. That's Highway 28. That's below Livingston. Again, this thing's moving northeast at about 40 miles per hour. If anything, more east-northeast. And understand this thing is also potentially producing a tornado, as the Weather Service says. They have confirmed that. If you are anywhere in Tuscaloosa and points north, I do not expect a threat from this storm. This is going to be well south of you. It's going to cross into Greene County shortly, and most likely what we're going to see is the National Weather Service continue a tornado warning into Greene County shortly. They have not done that yet, but again, they will most likely do that soon. And I don't see any other reports, so that's good. We haven't seen any sign of damage yet in Sumter County, but again, we're checking with the EMA, the emergency management down there, to see what's going on. So let me zoom you out real quick. I want to take you over to Birmingham's reflectivity. I know folks watching us from other parts of Alabama trying to figure out what is happening, and let's just do a quick analysis here. Again, we're doing this real time. If you are, again, around the Tuscaloosa area and points north, we got rain, we got thunderstorms. There's no indication of this becoming severe. Our severe storm of concerns down here in Sumter County, and this is going to move northeast just like that. So again, eventually this is going to cross the Tombigbee River, most likely in about 15 to 20 minutes. It's going to cross the Tombigbee. Next up would be the Forkland area. This should be generally south of Utah. It's going to be a close call. I don't think this thing skips north of Interstate 20 and impacts cities like Tuscaloosa and Northport. If anything, this thing's going to be more of a Greensboro threat and a Forkland threat. So that is certainly our storm of concern so far. Areas to the north of that, for folks watching us on Facebook Live, I don't see any immediate threat for these cities up here. If you're in Fayette, Jasper, Birmingham, Tuscaloosa, Reform, Gordo, again, this is not showing any sign of becoming severe. And I'll tell you what, while I say that, let's look at this storm east of Tuscaloosa briefly and just see what we got. Again, very heavy rain in Tuscaloosa, University of Alabama campus, pouring rain now. Let's look at the velocity. I just want to make sure there's no sign of anything here. And yeah, no sign at all. This is not rotating at all. It's raining hard, lightning and thunder, but there's no sign of rotation with that. So let's go down to our reason we are on TV and on Facebook and on our website is for this tornadic thunderstorm that's in Sumter County. Again, the Weather Service saying this is a confirmed tornado that is on about to cross Highway 28, and I will say this, based off the latest velocity, it looks like that couplet may be weakening again. So this is most likely one of those storms that's going to be a cyclical storm. It'll pulse up, pulse down. It may not maintain a tornado very long, but again, we certainly saw that tight couplet. The Weather Service actually confirming a tornado there. It's going to be just on the south side of Livingston, just south of Epps, and just south of Bowlage. So again, there's 28. This rotation is about to cross 28 the next 5 to 10 minutes, and then it's going to cross the Tombigbee River. That's the Tombigbee, the very windy river there, the limestone cliffs and bluffs. If you're at Belmont and Forkland, we need you in shelter, even though technically there's not a tornado warning for Greene County. I do think the Weather Service may issue one shortly. And let's see, just checking information here. I do not see, okay, tornado warning has been issued for Greene County now until 2:15. So again, the National Weather Service is issuing that tornado warning for Greene County now until 2:15. That is the time frame on that. So let's zoom you out. I want to show you a wide view so you can see where that rotation is. And I'll tell you what, before we do that, let me just look at the debris. I don't see much there. There's some possible sign of debris there. The Weather Service thinks it's just enough to say this thing could still be down. Let me zoom you out just a bit. Let's show you where this thing is. All right, so we got a new tornado warning again. This is being extended into Greene County, as we pretty much expected there. This thing's going to be extended into Greene. This is going to be to the north of Demopolis. I'm going to put on the warning here, and let's just look at this thing. All right, there's your polygon, and you see it's staying generally below Highway 11, below Interstate 2059. So if you are from Utah to Forkland to just on the north side of Demopolis, that's north of the river of the Black Warrior River, that's where that possible tornado is going to track. And this is, again, a confirmed tornado at the moment. So that's moving off towards the northeast. This thing is situated just below Livingston now. And the best bet for the possible tornado is going to be near Belmont and Forkland. I think Utah, you're going to be too far north, but it's a close call. Utah, if you are in downtown Utah and point south down Highway 43, that's the next call of action we need to tell you about. If you live along Highway 43 from Utah to Forkland, even just a hair south of Forkland, almost to the river bridge of the Black Warrior River on the north side of Demopolis, we want you to pull off that highway now, find a site-built structure, a store, somewhere to go in. Look, I know this stretch of Highway 43, there's not a whole lot of places to stop. So if you are near Utah, just turn around, go back north. If you're near Forkland, turn around, go back down to Demopolis, and just let this thing pass them by and you'll be okay. We don't want you traveling on Highway 43 there between Utah, Forkland, even on the north side of Demopolis, as the potential for a tornado could be there. So University of West Alabama, Livingston, we still want you to be sheltered. The core threat for tornadoes is going to be on the southeast side of town by about 2 or 3 miles, but still, let's just use caution. Epps, again, you're on the edge of the tornado warning polygon, but let's use caution to be sheltered. I do not think this is going to be any threat for Tuscaloosa and Northport. This is going to be well to the south of that. Even Moundville, if this continues into Hale County, I even think Moundville is going to be on the north side of this. Most likely, this is going to be a threat to Greensboro, and maybe even as far north as Savannah down the road. So if this thing continues, it's going to move into Hale County like that. So that's our tornado warning polygon. the new tornado warning just being issued for Greene County. We've got other counties in West Alabama that are under a tornado watch until 6 o'clock. The threat's going to be over for most of our coverage area before 6 o'clock, but that's the latest on that. Let's put on the hazard display. Just want to look at this thing together and see if our computer algorithm is triggering. Yeah, it's got a meso there. It doesn't show a TDS, which is good. We don't want to see a TDS. That's a tornado debris signature. I don't see that right now. Let's see. Okay, Weather Service, yeah, they're continuing this tornado warning as observed. They're saying this is a confirmed tornado over Bluffport now, just on the southeast side of Livingston, moving northeast at 50 miles per hour. So again, looks like Weather Service mentioning there was briefly a debris signature. And that's what we got with that. That's in Sumter County. That thing popped up near between Cuba and York. And again, I just want to remind everybody, I know a lot of folks are watching us on Facebook Live as well. If you are on Facebook Live watching for other parts of Alabama, specifically in the Tuscaloosa, Northport area, I think this tornadic storm is going to stay south of those cities. Looks like it's going to be primarily Greene County, Hale County storm as it moves out of Sumter. So again, a confirmed tornado down still right now, according to the National Weather Service. So what you're going to see is that pink tornado warning polygon. Typically, you see the tornado warning polygon as red. We've updated our system here to be able to jump out at us. If we see a pink polygon, we know immediately that there is a confirmed tornado with that. So that was extended into Greene County. I would say this, if you're in Forkland, you got to be in shelter now. But if you are anywhere near or on the south side of Livingston, I honestly think the University of West Alabama campus and Livingston's going to be okay. It's a close call for you. Let's stay sheltered just to be safe on that. I think this is going to cross 28 somewhere, most likely about 2-3 miles south of downtown Livingston. Let's do a track on this thing. Again, this is going to be moving off towards the northeast at 50 miles per hour. So I want to do a track on this. This is going to give you an idea of what time it could be in your specific community. So we'd like to do that to give you a heads up. This is where it's going. So let's do a cone here. This is where your potential tornado is, right about there, moving northeast at 50 miles per hour, something like that. So where I think the track's going to be something in that general area. So Belmont, you need to be sheltered now. The potential tornado is going to be there 130, 133. Let me warn you on something here. This is the times of arrival. This is what time, if the tornado's down, will be at your house. So don't wait until 133 to seek shelter. Okay, good. Yeah, so Steve, talking to the EMA office in Sumter County, so far no reports of damage down there, so that's good. We know it hit something, but so far there's no official reports of damage or injuries. So again, so the EMA office in Sumter County not reporting any official damage. I know this is a confirmed tornado, so it's doing damage somewhere. Hopefully this is over timber and not over structures, and that's what we think's happened so far. If there's a tornado down, most likely it's over timber rather than over houses. That's not going to continue, though. Keep in mind, eventually this thing will run into houses. So we got Belmont at 133, Forkland at 139, Walden Quarters there at 145, Sawyerville at 153. Now, if you remember back in March, Sawyerville very hard hit by a devastating EF4 tornado. So I know our friends in Sawyerville are like, hey, now they're watching this thing carefully. Greensboro, same deal on the north side of Greensboro. That long track, awful tornado we had back in March. That area is hard hit too. 159 there, Harper Hill 204, Ingram's Phipps there a little after 2 o'clock. Now again, that's over in Hale County. If this tornado continues, we could see a warning extended into Hale County as well. So far we have Sumter and Greene with this one tornadic thunderstorm in our coverage area. But again, these are the times of arrival, what time the potential tornado could be in your specific area. All right, so let me take this off, and I tell you what, I want to take a wide view here and clear this data off. And this is everybody out there. I know there's a lot of people watching for other parts of Alabama. I know a lot of schools are still in session, so you're worried about your kids. Are your kids okay? Let me say this. I think for Tuscaloosa and Northport, points north, I don't see any evidence of this becoming severe. Could that change? It's possible, not very likely. In fact, I'd say the chance is nearly zero there, but we'll watch trends north of Tuscaloosa. Our concern is going to be generally south of Moundville. For this one tornadic thunderstorm. And what would most likely happen, at some point this thunderstorm is going to run out of this better environment. There's some rain out ahead of it. We're hoping that rain may kind of help stabilize things just a bit. And it's also rain down to the south, rain and thunderstorms in Choctaw County. So we want to disrupt this storm now before it moves into town, our populated area. And I think Forkland's going to be a ground zero for this potential tornado if it does continue. It's not as classic as it once was, so that is good. And there are no reports of damage so far. Again, we spoke with the Sumter County EMA. There's no reports of damage down there so far, and that is wonderful, wonderful news. We hope that trend will continue. Can't guarantee it, but we hope that trend does continue. So again, I'm just checking the weather service here, and let's see. Fire department down there in York mentioning their power's back on now. So they briefly lost power in York and Sumter County, but their power's back in operation. We're seeing this one tornadic thunderstorm that's about to cross the Tom Bigby River, very close to Belmont. This thing's going to be north of Saltwell, north of Demopolis. I know Saltwell hard hit several years back by a devastating tornado. That area, I think this is going to be just north of you. These storms to the north are not showing any sign of indication. I tell you what, I just got a new update. Weather Service going to continue the tornado. Okay, so they have dropped the confirmed tornado. This is back to radar indicated. So our polygon's going to change back to red here in just a moment. That's good. Let's hope that trend continues. We don't like seeing that pink polygon representing a confirmed tornado. So this thing, once it updates on our screen, will turn back red, indicating radar indicated tornado. Let's get back into it, okay, and let's talk about this thing. So everybody else in our area, we have no additional severe weather. This is the one storm that's gotten out of hand that came out of Meridian, Mississippi. If you joined us at 12:30, about an hour ago, we were watching that storm that was south of Meridian. It had at least a potential to become tornadic. This thing did become tornadic. We at least briefly had a tornado down not far from Cuba in York in Sumter County. Now this rotating thunderstorm has lost that debris signature, it's lost that characteristic of producing a confirmed tornado. So the Weather Service dropping the text and saying this is back to radar indicated. But again, there is the Tom Bigby River right there, runs south of Bolagie, runs down to Demopolis, the confluence of the Tom Bigby and Black Warrior. Right there, the tip of my finger, that's on the north side of Demopolis. If you're the Demopolis boat ramp, you look upstream, you see where the Black Warrior comes into the Tom Bigby. I've been fishing down there many times. I grew up in Marengo County, grew up in Linden, so I've been to Demopolis quite a few times fishing there. But again, this potential tornado is going to be north of the confluence of the Tom Bigby and Black Warrior right there to Demopolis. Greene County Steam Plant, this is going to be north of you. If you are on 43, I would say at Forkland, let's treat it like this thing could still be down because this thing's going to cross the Tom Bigby and it's heading right for the Forkland area. So anybody traveling along Highway 43 from Utah to Forkland, let's pull over now, find a place of shelter. I know Highway 43, there is not a whole lot there. That's a long stretch of highway between Utah and Forkland, and there is not much out there. So yeah, you see the new update there, the brand new tornado warning come out. It's red, meaning radar indicated. It's not a confirmed tornado anymore. Get rid of the pink polygon. We don't want to see that on there. But again, Utah, Forkland on 43, find a place to shelter now. In fact, if you're somewhere on 43, if you're driving, if you can hear us on through Facebook Live, or if you know somebody that's traveling along Highway 43 here, tell them they got to get off that highway now, as this potential tornado is going to be moving over you soon. If you are in Livingston, you're good. There's no longer a threat of a tornado in downtown Livingston, University of West Alabama. This thing's clearly off to the northeast of you now. If you are in York or Cuba, again, the risk for you is over. The tornadic circulation has clearly crossed further off to the northeast. It's currently located on top of Highway 28. Let's look at the, tell you what, let's look at the velocity. Look at this thing together. All right, still some evidence of rotation. Looks like maybe a little bit of bowing feature. There may be an enhancement of wind damage down here. So even if you don't get a tornado, you could see that swath of damaging wind. See right there, Most likely what that is, the rear flank downdraft of a thunderstorm is part of a tornado cyclogenesis. You get this swath of wind that wraps around the backside of the southern side of a tornado, and you get this strong little bowing feature there. Sometimes you can get 60, 70, 80 mile an hour winds with that, and that's what we're looking at potentially there. In fact, let's just look at the information on that and see how strong those winds are, and we can do that. Let's just sample this wind right there. And look at that velocity outbound of 101 miles per hour. Now, keep in mind, that's pretty high up off the ground. Most likely it's not 100 mile an hour at the surface, but again, that just gives you an indication there could be an enhancement of wind damage down here on the north side of where Highway 28 turns off of Highway 80 if you turn north towards Livingston. That's going to be just on the east side of Highway 28 now, coming up on the Tombigbee River. Anybody, surely there's nobody in a boat on the Tombigbee River now, but if anybody's out there fishing, you got to get off the river now. This thing's about to cross, and I can imagine there's going to be some lightning still with that as well. Let's look at the lightning display. And yeah, you see a little core of lightning right on top of the Tombigbee now. So from Boligi to Forkland, you see this is real-time data. As soon as you see that lightning strike, that is a lightning strike. So again, you'll be hearing the sound waves radiate out from that lightning strike. So this is a thunderstorm that's still rotating here, about to cross the Tombigbee River now to the south of Boligi. If you are, I'd say if you're in Boligi points north, you're fine. Interstate 2059 here, I think the threat of a tornado is going to be clearly to your south. Just does not look like much for you other than rain and lightning and thunder. Again, still that potential for a tornado there that's now crossing the Tombigbee River. That's it right there. It is now crossed east of Highway 28. So if you are between Livingston and the turnoff on Highway 80, I think you're okay. This potential possible tornado is now tracked off to your northeast. So that's what we're looking at there. This is going to be more of a Forkland issue here in just a matter of moments. So again, if you are just now joining us, Chief Meteorologist Richard Scott here. We are currently dealing with severe weather in portions of West Alabama. There is one tornado warning for Greene and Sumter County in West Alabama as we have a rotating thunderstorm that's moving off towards the northeast at 50 miles an hour. Again, this thing is clearly going to be an issue for Forkland. Utah, if you live on the south side of Utah, we need you to be in shelter. So let's kind of reset things just for a moment and show a wide view here because I know there are other people watching from other parts of Alabama. Now let's just look at this thing together, all right? We got rain and thunderstorms in the Tuscaloosa, Birmingham area. These are not severe. There's no sign of that becoming severe. I don't see any indication of a tornado there with that. There's technically a tornado watch for Pickens and Tuscaloosa and Jefferson County. Our one storm of concerns down here that's in Greene County now. And you can kind of tell that this storm certainly looks more beefier in terms of the darker coloration, the heavier precip associated with it. So compared to other storms, this one here looks more interesting. There's a lot of rain down to the south of that, and we're hoping this may help kind of at least help that inflow of warm air into it, maybe disrupt it just a bit and allow this thing to weaken. But so far that has not happened, as do have that dangerous indication of a possible tornado that's crossing the Tombigbee River now. So again, anybody else in other parts of Alabama, especially the Tuscaloosa area, we don't see any sign of a tornado with that. All right, Weather Service mentioning the tornado circulation seems to be tightening back up just southwest of Forkland. So if you're in the Forkland area, heads up, this thing may be trying to wrap back up for you. All right, so again, it is now 1:32. Chief Meteorologist Richard Scott here. We are watching a few dangerous thunderstorms out there. One in our coverage area that is considered severe. I want to take you over to our Brian Denny camera, and this is in Tuscaloosa. And again, I don't see any threat for the city of Tuscaloosa. Obviously, it's raining quite heavily outside. We're panning the camera around back towards the downtown. And again, we just don't see any sign of any tornado in the Tuscaloosa area. It's going to rain a lot, and this could cause some issues of flooding. So use caution if you are in the Tuscaloosa and Northport area in terms of the flooding potential. Let's go back over to our watch warning map and show you that. Again, we've got that one tornado warning in our area that includes areas to the south of Utah. That's where that concern is now. And I tell you what, we've also got information online if you want to find us there. Facebook, Twitter, and our weather blog. We've got information running there as well. And I tell you what, there's the watch warning map. Let me put on, go back over to radar. I'm just checking some things behind the scenes here because there's a lot of folks trying to talk to us through Facebook Live. And I tell you what, I know we've got Alex in Master Control. Alex, if you are watching Facebook Live, if you see any damage, if you could talk in my ear, and I'll try to pass that along as well. Yeah, comments on Facebook. So, all right, we are seeing some trees down on County Road 13 about 6 miles north of Highway 80, and that was a possible tornado there. That was over in Sumter County. So here's a look at the radar, and this is what we got. We got active rain and thunderstorms across much of central Alabama. We have a possible tornado that's crossing the Tombigbee River into Greene County. This is going to be southern Greene County. This is not going to include Tuscaloosa, Northport, points north. And look, the reason I continue to mention where I don't think there's any severe weather is because I understand there's a lot of people watching from other parts of Alabama, and you just want to know, hey, is there something coming my way? And the reason we kind of focus on this one area is because this is it. There's no other issues of severe weather in our entire coverage area. This is the one storm of concern, and that's down there. None of this is showing any sign of becoming severe. I don't think it will. And there's nothing back here to the west. This is our severe weather risk, and once it moves on, we're done. So this is not going to be a very long duration event in terms of your spot where you live. If you're dealing with severe weather now in Greene County, in 30 minutes, you're going to be fine. You'll be in all clear. So let's take you down into the storm of concern. Again, the National Weather Service mentioning that the rotation seems to be trying to increase once again. And I do want to mention, too, interesting to note, the East Mississippi counties have been dropped for the tornado watch. So that's encouraging to see that that has been dropped. So if you are in Forkland, I'll tell you what, let's be in shelter now. This isn't a confirmed tornado, but this storm looks nasty down there. So if you are at Bolagie, points north, you're okay. But if you are at Forkland, up 43 to nearly Utah, you got to be in shelter now. I know there's a big mobile home population in that part of Alabama. If you're in a mobile home, get out now. Find a site-built structure, a storm shelter. If you've got a local storm shelter, get in that now, as we have a possible tornado there. Let's look at the velocity and just kind of watch this thing together. No doubt this thing's trying to wrap back up. I think this tornado could be trying to redevelop if it's not one down now. So again, this is the Tombigbee River. That's Forkland right there. Highway 43, if you go north of Forkland, you go up to Utah there. South of Forkland, you go to Demopolis. You got the guy with all the hay art out there, which is quite interesting. If you've ever been between Demopolis and Utah and 43, there's a guy down there. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he's got all kinds of cool artwork. He's got hay bales he makes into different creatures, and it's kind of cool to see that if you are familiar with that part of Greene County. Something he's done my whole life since I was a little boy. I remember seeing that, traveling from Linden to Tuscaloosa. So this is what we're watching. That possible tornado is going to be in that area. So if you're in Forkland, you got to be in shelter, but not even Forkland. Let's go all the way to Sawyerville. If you're in Sawyerville or Greensboro, even Akron, and let's consider going to shelter pretty soon, as the potential tornado could continue, and if it does, it will cross the Black Warrior River as well. That's the Black Warrior. There's Akron right there, Lock 8 down to the south. That's what we're talking about for a possible tornado that could continue there across southern Greene County. But again, yeah, there it is. See that right there? That's what I'm watching. That little spot there has me concerned for a possible tornado developing. Let's look at the debris signature and just make sure we don't see anything. I don't see anything there. That's good. What you would see if a tornado were to develop, a lot of times you'll see this spot show up of blue or bright yellow or green. You would see that odd spot show up right below your velocity couplet. That would indicate where rotating winds are picking up different size objects in the air. I don't see that right now. So that's good. Hopefully that trend will continue, but I'm telling you, this storm looks interesting. Let's look at that. All right, so we got a mesocyclone that's showing up. We know it's rotating. Let's look at the information on that. And again, a lot of this stuff is more for me to be able to determine what's happening with this storm rather than you, but I mean, you can follow along with the numbers. So we're just kind of doing a real-time analysis on this thing. Tornado impact is pretty low at 2.1. That's good. Wind impact 9.6. Now, keep in mind this scale technically goes above 10, but if you get up to 10, that's a big deal. So the damaging wind impact, that's a big deal, 9.6. So there could certainly be some damaging wind with that. Large hail, not a big threat for that. Maximum hail size about 1/2 inch. So we're talking about generally about penny size or smaller for that. So that's what we're looking at there for the potential hail size, not extremely large, but there could be some small hail involved, especially on 43 on the north side of Forkland. All right, so let's take this off and let's look at this thing together. I'm going to clear this. And again, it's a thunderstorm that has this concern. We'll put back on the velocity. Let's look at this thing together. All right, there's your rotating thunderstorm. What you're looking at, this is wind. There's raindrops there that's been blown around different directions, and we can look at that and determine which direction the wind's blowing, and we got some rotation right there. Now, the last scan is not as impressive as it was just a little bit earlier, but again, there's still rotating wind there that could be potentially a tornado. And I tell you what, if Steve is still in the control room, are we checking with EMA down there in Sumter? If we are, let me know. I've heard of one report of damage to some trees down, but I have not seen anything else so far. And that's awesome news. Hopefully that trend will continue, but we cannot guarantee that. Let's see. So again, what time is it now? A little after 1:40. Weather Service just a couple of minutes ago mentioning the possible tornadoes over Tishabe. All right, 11 miles to the east of Livingston. Look, if you're in Livingston, you're fine now. This thing is clearly going to be, it's well off to your east now. But I will say this, the storm is moving more kind of east-northeast rather than due northeast, if that makes sense. So I think if you are in Forkland, that's where your potential tornado is about to go. And then I would say Sawyerville and Greensboro. Maybe a hair north of Greensboro, but it certainly looks like Forkland to Sawyerville. If there's a tornado down, it's going to be very close to your area in the next few minutes. In fact, Forkland, you got to be in shelter now. Sawyerville, you need to be in shelter within the next 10 minutes. Let me zoom out and let's just do a track on this thing because we haven't done that in a while. I want to show everybody that's going to be in the potential path of this. So this is going to be a computer estimated times of arrival. So let's do this. Tell you what, I'm going to do a little line here because we feel fairly confident where this thing's going. There it is there. It's tracking northeast like that. And let's do 50 miles an hour. So again, these are the times of arrival, what time this possible tornado could be in your area. So these are estimated times of arrival. Forkland, we got 143. Shelter now, this tornado's on top of you. Sawyerville at about a 157. Ingram, 215. Pondville, that's over in Bibb County. If this thing continues, it could move into Bibb County. We're looking at around 230. In-gate there at 237. So again, these are just estimated times of arrival. This is what time this possible tornado could be in your general area. Take that off. This is our velocity signature. And look, I know it didn't show Greensboro on there, but if you're in Greensboro on the north side of town, let's be in that safe place. I know there's a big mobile home population in that part of Alabama. There's a lot of folks that live in mobile homes out here. Back in March, we had a tragic tornado track at a very similar path to this. This is almost the identical path of the tornado back in March. So if you are in this zone, you know where we're talking about. We want you to treat this serious as there could be a tornado down. It's not confirmed like it was, but that could change at any time. So if you're in this area, we're talking about Forkland to Sawyerville to even Greensboro, on the north side of Greensboro. Shelter now. Out of a mobile home, find a site-built structure. Now, if you're in Forkland, it's too late. You don't have time to go anywhere. But if you're in Sawyerville, if you are east of the Black Warrior River, you have time to react, and I would do that soon because you're running out of time. You don't want to be in your car trying to drive to storm shelter and the tornado come up on you. So you got to go somewhere now. Let me zoom you back into this thing. We're looking at the Birmingham velocity signature. All right, there's our Couple it. See, maybe try to tighten back up. There's Walden Quarters there. There's Sawyerville. That is Highway 14 that runs from Greensboro to Sawyerville, back to the northwest into Greene County. It crosses the interchange of Highway 60 and also Highway 14 there, just to the northwest side of Utah. Again, this tornado is going to be crossing very close to that area. I'm telling you, if you're near Sawyerville, you need to be in shelter, as there is a possible tornado there. So then we'll go off to the northeast there. These are other areas concerned. We got Sawyerville. That's Highway 69. That's Harper Hill. That's where this thing could be going, somewhere between Harper Hill and Greensboro. Again, we're talking about a very similar path back in March of this past year of where we had a tornado track. So last March is where we're looking at. All right, so I do want to check that. Weather Service debating whether they are going to continue the tornado warning or not, which is quite interesting. So they're going to watch it next few scans, whether they will extend the tornado warning into Hale County. So let me show you a wide view here. There's a nasty winter storm happening back in Arkansas, northwest Mississippi, and western Tennessee. This thing is a crippling ice storm. We've had numerous reports of power outages back here, numerous tree limbs down, power lines down, as they are dealing with just an awful mess out west. But again, around here, we're in the warm sector, and that's what we're dealing with that. Go ahead, Steve. Okay. Okay, yeah. So we got some trees down just north of 80, and that was County Road 13, Steve, I think. Okay, yeah, so we got some trees down there. Now, that could be tornado damage, that could be straight line wind damage, but that was about the time where we saw that debris signature pop up on the radar. That was the time the Weather Service confirmed there was a tornado there. So, again, that's what we're looking at with that. This is it, though. I want you to watch this trend. You see these storms down here in Mississippi. These are moving more east, northeast. So, again, this is our only severe weather issues. Is most likely this one storm. Quite frankly, there may be another storm try to spin up, but I think this one storm is our main storm, and it's going to track northeast across our coverage area. So I wanted to show you that. Again, there's no additional issues west of Alabama. This is going to move on out pretty quickly. So again, for Fayette, back towards Kansas, Nauvoo, you got rain and thunder there. We got one rotating storm, but that is about it. And I tell you what, we've also got Brandon Richards in the Weather Center too, Brandon. And I don't know if you got your mic on there, but we're watching this stuff down to the southwest, but if you notice below Demopolis, look at all the rain developing out ahead of this thing. Hopefully that'll kind of help us out a little bit.
Right, and that'll kind of help us stabilize the atmosphere a little bit. You know, maybe that storm coming through Greene County will weaken a little bit. I do think the main threat today, even though we do have a threat of some isolated tornadoes, flooding is going to be the main threat. I was driving through Tuscaloosa coming into the station here just a moment ago, and the amount of running water on the roadway is amazing. So a lot of people weren't slowing down. So if you come across a flooded roadway, just make sure that you slow down, turn around, don't drown. You know the saying. But with this rain coming out ahead of this thunderstorm, maybe that's good news for the thunderstorms below it. That maybe they'll stay below severe limits.
Yeah, and hopefully that will be a trend that will continue. But this thing is certainly quite interesting. Just checking with the Weather Service too, Brandon, and they're in the process of trying to figure out whether they want to extend this tornado warning or not into Hale County, and so far they have not decided to do that. But again, perhaps the stuff down to the south is kind of robbing that energy and that inflow of instability into this storm. And I will say this, did they just cancel that tornado warning?
No, they've continued it until 2:15. They've shrunken it
very
small.
Yeah.
But I will say in the latest scan from the Birmingham Radar, it's tightened back up again.
Yeah, let's look at this thing and see what we got there. Again, that's Brandon Richards, who's in the Weather Center with us. And let's zoom in. Yeah, what happened was it's such a tiny tornado warning polygon, I can't even see it because it's the same color as
tornado warning now for Hale County until 2:45.
Okay, so they are going to continue that. Okay. Yeah, your tornado warning, there it is right there, tornado warning polygon. So this thing is going to extend across the Black Warrior River. That's the Black Warrior right there. So Weather Service is going to continue the tornado warning for Hale County. Let's look at the velocity with this thing. As Brandon mentioned, perhaps the rotation is increasing. Yeah, there it is right there. You see that. There's a lot of strong wind down to the south of that. which is interesting. They just come across Forkland area. So if anybody's down in Forkland, if you see some damage down there, if you will comment on our Facebook Live, if you search for the WVUA 23 Facebook page, you'll see that on there as well. And I tell you what, Brandon, are you getting warnings on the blog as well?
Yes, I can.
If you don't mind posting that for me real quick. Go ahead.
Mention that the tornado warning for Hale County is a little bit more broad. You know, it's not as small as the one in Greene County where they can pinpoint it.
Yeah.
They're kind of making it a little bit bigger because of maybe some possible rotations developing around it.
Okay,
So
let's
it's
look
kind
at
of a
this.
unique storm.
Yeah, it is an odd storm. By the way, that back in northwest Mississippi, that is an ice storm warning. So you currently have an ice storm here, and you've got a tornado here. So that is interesting weather. That's what we deal with sometimes this time of the year, is these wild weather swings. And fortunately, we are not dealing with that ice storm after this severe weather moves out. You know, a lot of times the weather will pass through and you'll deal with severe weather, and then you'll have winter weather behind that. But that's not going to happen this time. If there's any winter weather issues, it might be across far northwest Alabama, and that should be about it. Brandon, what was the time on that tornado warning? It hasn't popped up on my screen just yet.
I believe it is 2:45.
Okay, so
Yes,
it's just after 1:45 now. Weather Service going to continue the tornado warning for Hale County, and that's it. There is nothing else that even looks like it could produce a tornado across West Alabama, which is great. So this is our one storm of concern. And there's no doubt this thing is still healthy. It's a healthy thunderstorm that could easily produce a tornado. We had a brief confirmation of a tornado when this thing was not far from York and Cuba. But clearly this thing is moving northeast pretty quickly now. But look, let me just say this. If you are in Moundville to Tuscaloosa to Northport, this isn't a threat for you. So I know a lot of folks that are in school now. There's still school going on. As far as I'm aware, there hasn't been any schools released yet. I may be wrong on that. I haven't been able to check the information, been on here with you. But I don't expect any problems for Tuscaloosa and Northport, so you're good there. This is going to be south of you, but if you are north of Demopolis, and really same for the Demopolis area, no problems there. Okay, so Birmingham City School, you mentioned. Okay, so according to some reports, some people are saying some Birmingham City schools may be canceling after-school activities. I haven't heard from Tuscaloosa yet, but I will say this. Look, for Tuscaloosa to the north, there's no problems. We've got rain and thunderstorms, but I don't see any issues from that. So, again, yeah, the National Weather Service, they continue the tornado warning. Okay, yeah, so Demopolis City Schools releasing early. So, again, that's just how things are going to go. There's a few schools that have decided to make changes there. So, again, I'm just looking at this information from the National Weather Service. They're going to continue this tornado warning for Hale County, as Brandon mentioned, until 2:45 as a possible tornado over Walden Quarters, 8 miles to the south of Utah, moving northeast at 40 to 50 miles per hour. But again, if you notice, this thing started about right here, and it's moving almost east-northeast. It's not really a perfect northeast. If that were the case, it would have come into Tuscaloosa. If it would have followed the interstate right into town. It's moving more east than due northeast, if that makes sense. So it certainly looks like this thing's going to be below Moundville. Now, look, if you're in Moundville, if you're in even the southern side of Tuscaloosa County, you're going to get some pretty heavy rain out of that. And as Brandon mentioned, there could be some flooding issues as well. But in terms of a tornado, this is going to be clearly to your south. So this is where our tornadic thunderstorm is. Again, the Weather Service issuing that tornado warning for Hale County. Let's look at the velocity and just watch this thing together. And there is our couplet. That's a tight little couplet there, Brandon. You see that below Walden Quarters. So if you're in Sawyerville, you need to be in shelter now. This thing is in a very similar spot to the tornado was back in March. So down here below Walden Quarters, it's about to cross the Black Warrior River now. There's downtown Greensboro. I don't think there's much of a threat for downtown Greensboro, but if you're on the north side of town, you need to be sheltered. Really, Harper Hill, Sawyerville, that's where this thing's going. So if you are below Moundville, really below the Havana Junction on Highway 69, that's where this possible tornado is going to go. But again, if there was a tornado down, it's going to be right there, crossing the Black Warrior River, and next stop is going to be right in the center part of Sawyerville. So if you're in Sawyerville, you got to be in shelter now. Again, meteorologist Brandon Richards in the Weather Center with us as well. Brandon, if I were in Sawyerville, I'd be taking this thing serious.
Speaking of that, the National Weather Service now says it is an observed tornado now in their Walden quarters in Hill County.
Okay, so we got somebody down there that can actually see this tornado, and again, this thing just looks like it is producing a tornado now. And the deal is, these storms can be cyclical. Sometimes they look more impressive than other times, and this thing, no doubt, looks impressive. If there's a tornado, we're going to see it now based off the signature. I don't think it's going to last very long, but there's something down there. With correlation coefficient, the debris tracker, there may be something there, but it's hard to tell. It's clearly going to be crossing the Black Warrior now, but if you are in Sawyerville, shelter now. That's Highway 14 that runs right through downtown Sawyerville. If you go up to the northwest of Sawyerville, you get the split off there of Highway 60 that runs up to Akron and the Havana Junction. That's Havana Junction right there. That's Highway 69 runs through Harper Hill down to the south. So again, our possible tornado is crossing the Black Warrior River now and is about to move into Sawyerville. Let's look at, let's see.
According to Chris Darden at the National Weather Service in Birmingham, he's saying he sees a tornado debris signature
right
just southwest of Sawyerville.
Let me take that back on. I saw it right then, just popped up, Brandon. There's a tornado there. So if you're in Sawyerville, this is an urgent situation. You got to get out of a mobile home. We got a tornado down. We see it. Okay, somebody's down there looking at it with their eyes. We see it with our radar product. We see it with the correlation coefficient. This is our debris tracker. So if you're in Sawyerville, anywhere between the junction of 60 and Highway 14 down here on the northwest side of Sawyerville, all the way to Greensboro, this is a tornado down. This is coming your way now. I'm telling you, get out of a mobile home. If this is an EF0, EF1 tornado, it can be a threat to life and property. So while most likely it's not a big violent tornado, it doesn't matter. This thing is clearly a tornado down coming up on Sawyerville. Let's take this out. I want to do a track on this thing and show everybody out there that's in the path of this, because this is now a confirmed tornado that's moving northeast at 45 miles per hour. So there it is right there. We can see it on our correlation coefficient. If you are in Greensboro on the north side of town, that's where this thing's heading. But first off, Sawyerville. Sawyerville, you are in direct threat to life and property right now. There's a new update on our velocity. It is within, I would say, 5 minutes of crossing Highway 14. This is a dangerous situation for a tornado that is down, moving into Hale County now. It's crossed the Black Warrior River. I'll tell you what, let me clear that off. I'm going to redraw that for you. And again, there's your tornado right there. You see that? It's moving northeast at 45 to 50 miles per hour. These are the times of arrival, okay? If you're in Sawyerville, 2 o'clock, you need to be in shelter now. This thing's going to be on top of Sawyerville at Highway 14 within the next 5 minutes. Harper Hill, we're looking at 215. Harper Hill is right below the Havana Junction. I don't think this tornado is going to be as far north as the junction. This is going to be just south of the Havana Junction. Harper Hill, down to the south, you got Ingram, Phipps. Over in Bibb County, you got Pineville, Pearson, and Brent. These are the estimated times of arrival if this tornado continues. That's where it's going. So again, we've got a confirmed tornado down. This is the only issue in our entire coverage area, is this one tornado-producing storm now that continues to obviously produce a tornado. But if you're in Sawyerville, this is an urgent message to do something now, as we have a confirmed tornado down that has now crossed the Black Warrior River. It is within 5 minutes of moving right over the center part of Sawyerville. All right, this is right in the middle of Sawyerville, very similar to the path of the tornado back in March 25th last year. If you remember that, go ahead, Brandon.
Yeah, so according to the National Weather Service chat, Brett Adair says his friend Ryan Carty has a visual on it nearing Highway 14, heading toward the highway just north of Sawyerville. So that's current. That's now. Okay,
so the tornado's right here. It's going to be crossing. There it is. All right. Yeah, Brett. So Brett Adair, he's got storm spotters out there. I know Brett personally. I've known him for a long time. There's Melton. This tornado is going to be clearly northwest of there. But if you are in Sawyerville, on the north side of Sawyerville, that's where we need to be sheltered right now, as there is a confirmed tornado down that is doing damage right now, and this thing is as urgent as it gets. That's Highway 14 right there. Again, let's do some highways here in the path of this thing. County Road 17, you've got to be in shelter now. County Road 17, shelter now, as that potential tornado is going to move right over you. The tornado itself now is just a few miles to the west of Sawyerville, not far at all, but it will be crossing Highway 14 within a matter of just a few minutes. So shelter now if you are in Sawyerville. County Road 77 there, the tornado is going to be on top of you within 2 or 3 minutes. So shelter now, County Road 77 on the northwest side of Sawyerville. This is going to move across Highway 14 within a matter of a few minutes. Again, you see that's Tree Limb Road. All right, this tornado is going to move over Tree Limb Road. I'm just naming some roads for you as this thing is moving in this direction. And this thing is serious. That's County Road 30 right there on the north side of 14. Go ahead, Brandon.
Yeah, so you're pointing out some locations that could see the tornado. The National Weather Service is now going to upgrade this to a considerable threat. So they're bumping this up. A regular tornado warning is just an observed, when they confirm it, it's an observed tornado. But when it becomes a serious, threat to property, in life, they upgrade it to that considerable threat. So this is a step up from just your normal observed tornado warning.
Brandon, they mentioned this is a large and extremely dangerous tornado now, so this is an extremely urgent situation. This is as serious as it gets. This is just a step below a tornado emergency. So understand there is a large tornado down. We've got storm spotters watching it. My finger's on top of Sawyerville right there. You go down to the southwest on 14, that's Melton. This thing is about to cross County Road 77 as we speak. The next up's going to be Highway 14 and then Tree Limb Road. That's County Road 30 right there. County Road 17, this urgent. Please do something about this. If you're in a mobile home, you got to get out. This is the type of tornado that will destroy a mobile home. There's almost zero chance of survival if you're in a mobile home and you're in the path of this tornado that's clearly down. There's Greensboro. I will say with confidence there's no threat to downtown Greensboro right now. There's zero threat to Greensboro. This tornado is clearly off to your northwest. And this thing is within a matter of a minute of crossing Highway 14. Let's look at the velocity product with this. Extremely tight couplet now. Look at this, Brandon. This thing is wrapped up incredibly tight now. And again, crossing County Road 77, Highway 14 now. That little road right there, that's Tree Limb Road we just named there as this tornado is down now and doing considerable damage. This is a threat to life and property. If you are in a mobile home, you got to get out of that. Seek shelter in a site-built structure or a storm shelter. If you are in a mobile home and you are in the path of this tornado, you will possibly die in this tornado. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm just saying the threat to life is serious with this. Here's our tornado now, okay? It's cross 14. That is our large and dangerous tornadoes cross Highway 14 like a half a mile on the north side of Sawyerville. That is the junction. That is Highway 60 that runs up to Akron and Havana Junction. That is Highway 14 that cuts back into Sawyerville, Melton, and goes down to Greensboro. Again, we've got a dangerous situation of a tornado down that's doing damage in Hale County, in western Hale County. Look at the debris signature. That's it. That is our tornado. Again, I cannot stress the urgency of this. This is a large, dangerous tornado. We've got storm spotters on this now. And Brandon, if you see any images coming from Brett or some other storm spotters, let me know. But that is certainly a tragic tornado right there. Okay, we got that tornado down. I want to show everybody out there just for a moment because I know there's other people watching from other parts of Alabama that is trying to figure out what is going on in their general area. So again, there's no additional storms of concern. That is our one thunderstorm that is producing a confirmed tornado. Down to the south is heavy rain. North of there, rain and thunderstorms. This is it. There's one storm in our entire coverage area that is producing a confirmed tornado, and this is as serious as it gets. A very dangerous, confirmed, large, extremely dangerous tornado. This is the tornado warning Polygon, and you see that darker purple shade that's representing the confirmed large and extremely dangerous tornado, considerable threat to your life. If you're in a mobile home, you got to get out now, as this is as serious as it gets. Considerable damage according to the National Weather Service. This is extremely large, confirmed tornado down there. Brandon, you see anything over there?
No, I'm looking through social media to see if I see any pictures that might be posted, but as of right now, I'm not seeing anything. But the tornado is still definitely on the ground for sure.
This thing is an incredible storm here that just continues. Look, if you're in Moundville, you're okay. Clearly, the storm is south of you. The tornado warning Polygon, you see right there, the purple Polygon representing confirmed considerable damage type of tornado warning. This isn't just a radar indicated tornado. This is a big deal. And again, on the north side of Greensboro, really from about Harper Hill to the north side of Greensboro, this is maybe a couple of miles north of the March 25th tornado last year. So again, Brandon, if you remember that tornado where it tracked and went right through Melton, just below Harper Hill, and then moved into Bibb County. So again, this confirmed tornado does continue off to the northeast. Let's go back over to our correlation coefficient. Again, everybody else, there's no issues ongoing now. There is rain and thunderstorms, but there's no evidence of any other severe storms as we speak. But that's it, a confirmed tornado down really between Highway 14 and Highway 69. So let's go down into this thing, show you where it is. And we've got, go ahead. Mason Bend Road in Sawyerville. All right, so the Hale County EMA saying multiple houses destroyed. Tornado still on the ground. We see it right there. So again, the tornado just crossed 14, has destroyed homes. Hopefully nobody was inside. We have a large tornado still down. That's Harper Hill. That's Ingram right there. The Havana Junction's at the top of your screen there. This is where Highway 60 and Highway 69 split off there. Highway 60 goes to the west. Highway 69 goes to the south. This tornado is going to cross somewhere near Harper Hill. Clearly, it's north of Greensboro, and clearly this is south of the Havana Junction. But this is an urgent situation of a tornado down right now, and we can see that. And I tell you what, Brandon, you're looking at the velocity behind the scenes there too. Is this thing? How's this thing looking on velocity? It's County Road 32.
It's been tight for a while now, and it's still very tight. You have that the outbound and the inbound close together, and yeah, it's still down. It's pretty tight.
All right, so I'm just labeling roads kind of out ahead of this thing. That's County Road 32. That's Yeager Road right there. And again, this tornado is currently right there. That's where it is. That's what you're looking at is debris being lofted thousands of feet up off of the ground. You're looking at different size objects in the air, and that's our tornado still down. It's coming up on County Road 32. This is going to move off towards the northeast. Let's see, that is Hubbard Road right there that runs into Highway 69. That's where Hubbard Road runs there. Again, your tornado is going to be probably 5-6 miles north of Greensboro on 69. That's where it's going to cross if this tornado does continue. Now, this thing may be cyclical and weaken and reform, but right now we know it's one down. There's Akron right there. That's the Black Warrior River that runs down the screen there right there. That's the Black Warrior. So again, your tornado right now is about to cross 32. That's County Road 32. If you are in a mobile home, you got to get out of that now. Find site-built structure, and you just got to do something. Hubbard Road right now, you're in the direct path of this tornado that is confirmed down. Again, that's where it is right there. We're talking about Hubbard Road. Go ahead. Okay, so the Hale County Sheriff's Department actually sees the tornado now, and they're confirming they have a visual on this tornado. Okay, the EMA and Sheriff's Department down there, they're following this tornado right now. So we've got a tornado down. We got people down there that can see it. It's destroyed some homes. The thing is constantly destroying more homes, obviously, as it moves over these roads here. And a lot of people live out here, and a lot of people, unfortunately, live in a mobile home in this part of Alabama, in that part of Hale County. So you've got to do something to protect your life. Go to a storm shelter if you can. Get in the lowest floor of your site-built home. If you got a basement storm shelter, get in that immediately, as this is a threat to your life and property right now. So let me All right, here's a new update. All right, still there. There's our debris signature. That's Highway 69. Let me zoom out just a bit, and let's just see what's going on here. All right, so Ingram and Phipps, we need you in shelter now. There's the Havana Junction. This tornado is clearly going to be just below the Havana Junction. It's going to be clearly north of Greensboro. This thing's a good 7-8 miles north of Greensboro, but it's going to be below the Havana Junction. And by the way, if you're in Moundville, there's no threat to you. This thing is clearly going to be well south of Moundville. No problem there, but this thing is going to be also south of Havana Junction. This is a tornado in a fairly rural part of West Alabama, but there's a tremendous mobile home population in this part of Hale County. So again, I cannot stress urgency. If you are in a mobile home and you are hit by this tornado, there is a big threat to your life. So you got to go somewhere to storm shelter as this thing continues to move off towards the northeast. This is serious business. It may not be as large as the tornado had back on March 25th, but it doesn't matter. I mean, that was an EF4, Brandon. You know, it doesn't take an EF4 if you're in a mobile home.
No, you shouldn't be in a mobile home during a tornado warning at all. You know, if a tornado watch is issued, you should have a plan to know where you're going to go for shelter if a tornado warning is issued. But I do want to remind everyone that this tornado is rain-wrapped. You are not going to see it, so there's no reason you should be out on your front porch trying to look for it. So this is on the back end of the storm, not on the, you know, on the southern end where there's a rain-free base and everything like they see out in the plains. You know, it's rain-wrapped. So if you're under this tornado warning, especially north of Greensboro on 69 now, is your call of action. You need to be in a safe place.
Yeah, and again, as Brandon mentioned, the front side of the scene, this isn't a typical thunderstorm where you would see the tornado coming. The EMA and Sheriff's Department officials that are looking at this tornado are looking at it from the back side of it. So that's where they can see this thing, because if you look at the Birmingham Radar, there's a lot of rain north of that thing. You're not going to see through that big rain shaft. There's a lot of rain over Havana, pouring rain, maybe some hail falling at the junction towards Harper Hill. But your tornado is, if you're going to see it, it's going to be behind it. You're looking into the tornado after it's done hit you. So if you are at Harper Hill, you've got to be at shelter now. Ingram, Phipps, that's where this confirmed large and a dangerous tornado is moving right now. Let me take you to a wide view just for a moment. I want to show everybody out there, because I know there's other people watching, and trust me, I understand we're trying to show everybody out there, but we got to focus on this life-threatening situation. There are no other storms of concern now. We got rain in the Tuscaloosa area. We got rain up towards Fayette and on the east side of Fayette towards Kansas, Nauvoo, Haydenville, Double Springs, Coleman. You're all getting rain. And down to the south, Demopolis to Linden, it's raining down there. But this one storm is just a nasty storm. It continues to produce a tornado, and it's produced multiple tornadoes now, and this is the only troubled storm that we've got. And this thing's tracking northeast. It's going to move into Hale County, Bibb County, over the next 15 minutes or so. So let's do a track on this thing and show you where it's going.
You know what's amazing, Richard? The tornado's probably been on the ground now for 15 or 20 minutes.
Yeah, it's been down for a while. That's a fairly long track tornado for this type of environment. Now, yes, we have instability in wind shear, but the upper air pattern doesn't really support multiple tornadoes. That's most likely why there's only one. And, you know, Brandon, this thing may be riding a boundary down here. I have not looked at the instability. I noticed before this all started, the northern end of the instability was kind of down here. So I know you're doing some analysis behind the scenes there. It will be interesting to see if there's some sort of boundary here or something this storm is taking advantage of and just continues to rotate. But there's no additional extension. Have they mentioned extending the tornado warning?
They have not. They've continued it, and the damage rate is still considerable. Okay,
so that's our tornado right there. This is going to move over Harper Hill. That's just below the Havana Junction. Let's do a path on this, moving northeast of 45, 50 miles per hour. So these are the computer estimate times of arrival. This is what time it's going to be where you are. All right, so Harper Hill right now, Ingram, 221. The Phipps area, that is at 226. Pondville, again, that's over in Bibb County. We're looking at 238. Brent, 249. West Blockton, again, that's in Bibb County right there. We're looking at 258. And then Oakley, I think you're okay. You're kind of on the southern end of that. But again, that's what we're looking at for this potential tornado that is continuing to be down. New update on our radar. Let me clear this off, and I'll tell you what, while I do that, I want to look at the information on this particular storm, our hazard, and see what we've got here. I'm sure we'll see that TDS pop up. Yeah, there is our TVS, Tornado Vortex Signature. Let's look at this thing carefully. Let me go down into that. And I'll tell you what, I have not heard of anything else yet from this, but I can imagine it's doing damage to more homes now. There's no way it's missing homes at this point. We've gotten pretty lucky for a while, Brandon. This thing, when it moved across Sumter County, there just wasn't much in the path of it, but now we're getting to the part where we got where people live.
Right.
And let's look at the information on that. So again, this is a TVS, that's a Tornado Vortex Signature. And let's just watch this thing together. Notice how that tornado impact numbers jumped really high, 8.4 now. Wind impact still very high, 9.6. And keep in mind, when you get closer to 10, that is extremely significant. That's when you have most likely a large tornado down. We know there's a large tornado down, at least there was as of about 5 minutes ago. Let me clear that off. Let's go back over. I want to look at the velocity with this and just see what we have got. Look at it, still that tight couplet there. I bet there's still a tornado down right now with that. A very tight couplet that is just below the Havana Junction. But again, clearly, if you were up here at the junction, points north to Moundville, there's no threat at all. But that's your tornado. That's it. Coming up on Harper Hill, I think we've got a new update, Brandon.
Tornado warning now for Bibb and Tuscaloosa until 3:15.
Okay. And that's going to be the southeast tip of Tuscaloosa County. That's not going to include downtown. Go ahead.
Also, if anybody is in the control room, if they could take the Apple TV at some point. I have a picture of some damage in Sawyerville from one of those, from the storm chasers, from the live storm chasing team.
Okay. Catherine, are you in the control room? I don't know if there's somebody in the control room, if you could holler at us. Brandon's got a picture there on the weather iPad. We'll work on that here in just a moment. And I will, okay. Go ahead, Catherine. Can you see that? Oh, yeah, here we go. Go ahead, Brandon.
So this is a storm. This is right off of Highway 14 in Sawyerville. So this is the only picture I've seen so far. I'm scrolling through social media trying to get updates. This comes from Brett Adair, I do believe. And so you see the top half, the second house of that house is gone. So that's the kind of damage we're hearing of preliminary. We're just now getting these pictures in. And you see the rain coming down. The people who are having tornado damage happen right now are also having to deal with the heavy rain on the back end of it.
Yeah, so we got flooding potential with that, obviously, with a heavy rain falling. So people that are trying to rescue people that are trapped in structures or anywhere that's been damaged, they're dealing with all the heavy rain on the back side of that. So the tornado is now crossing Highway 69 as we speak, and the damage there, that's significant structural damage. And that is a site-built home, Brandon. That's not a mobile home. That is a site-built structure. That is significant damage to that structure. And again, there's your tornado right there. It's in the process of crossing Highway 69 below Havana. Let's look at the debris signature. Let's see if this thing's still down. And I will say this, the debris signature is not near as impressive as it was. Still something there. You see that below Havana, right over Harper Hill. Again, it's not as impressive as it was, but there's still something down. So don't let your guard down. That doesn't mean that it's over. That just means we're not seeing as much debris as we were about 10 minutes ago. Let's go back off towards the north because I know we have got the new tornado warning. And a lot of folks are obviously going to be asking if you are in Tuscaloosa County, your weather radios are most likely going off. If you got a smartphone, you may be getting the EAS alerts. So let's show you the watch warning map. And again, look, if you are in Tuscaloosa County, it's the very southeastern sliver of the county. That's an interesting polygon. I don't know if you see that, Brandon.
Yeah, they've got it moving more
I wonder why that is.
Than more east-northeast.
And it's been very consistent on its trajectory, so there's not another rotation there, is it? Are they looking at another rotation?
I think it's cycling. The old rotation doesn't seem to be as pronounced as it was, but it looks like a new tornadic rotation is starting to develop just southeast of Moundville, probably about 8 or 9 miles southeast of Moundville.
Okay, so they've got Duncanville, Vance, Coley, Mercedes, Plant, Abernant, West Blockton, Woodstock. That's on the Tuscaloosa-Bibb County line that is in that tornado warning polygon, the brand new tornado warning. They do not include, does not include Tuscaloosa, does not technically include Moundville. That's a very interesting polygon there. I'm not sure why they drew that. Let's look at this thing together. Let's do kind of a little analysis on his because I'm certainly interested in see why they did that. So that's our potential tornado. If it continues on the same path, it should really run parallel to the Bibb and Tuscaloosa County line there. So perhaps they just want a wider path just in case it were to make a north or south jog. But clearly that's our tornado at Harper Hill below Havana, and it's moving like that towards the northeast. So if you are in Tuscaloosa, if you are really Moundville to Tuscaloosa to Samantha, there's no problems. There's no chance for a tornado there. This is all going to be clearly to your southeast, but I know technically Tuscaloosa County is in that tornado warning, and that's where we are concerned about that possible, or excuse me, confirmed tornado. We know it's still one down. I see a red polygon. It looks like they're continuing the radar indicated tornado there. But you still got your pink icon representing your confirmed tornado. So I assume they'll extend that if it needs be. Let's look at the debris signature. Brandon, I don't see anything down there.
No, I think it has actually. Now, the National Weather Service, as of 2/17, still says an observed tornado in Hale County. So, you know, we're going to respect that and say that there's still a tornado on the ground, but the rotation is a little bit more broad than it was. I think it's going through a cycle.
Yeah, and it was done that before, Brandon, when it moved over the Tombigbee River. It did that cycle, and within just a matter of moments, this thing wrapped up and produced a large tornado over Sawyerville. So, again, while it is in a process of cycling out, there may not be a tornado down right now. At any time, a new one could form. And if you look south of Ingram, we got that little area of stronger winds. And I believe that's that rear flank downdraft that's coming around the backside of the storm. And what's going to happen is it's going to most likely recycle and produce a new tornado underneath the updraft. So, again, if you're in Phipps, you need to be in shelter now. Even as far north as Duncanville or Hagler, I want you in shelter now. I know Duncanville is even in the tornado warning polygon. So we're going to watch this radar very carefully, but we do not see screaming evidence of a large tornado still down. Well south of Moundville. Again, there's no threat from Moundville. If you are on Highway 69, clearly the circulation is track east of there now. But again, if you're Ingram or Phipps, stay in shelter now. This thing could cycle and produce a tornado very quickly. And it may still have a tornado down. It's not a zero chance of that. It could still have a tornado down. So let's look at the debris signature. Just want to watch this thing together. And I do not see debris right now, which is good. We've had it, goodness, Brandon, for how long now? 20?
That was about 30 minutes.
Yeah, it's been a while. We've had a debris signature. Now it's faded away. That down there is not debris. That is, you know, clutter or something on a radar. That's not debris. What we're looking at is in this area right here, this is where the couplet is. This is where the velocity signature is that could produce a tornado. And we don't see that correlation coefficient drop out right now, but it doesn't mean that there's not one down. We'll go back over to, tell you what, let's take the reports so far and see if those have actually populated in our screen here. Yeah, there's that one tornado report, and then there's the damage, the wind damage back in Sumter County. So again, we have officially one damage report popping up on our computer here.
You know, Richard, you talked about looking at the meso-analysis, and that's what us meteorologists, what that means is we look at what the atmosphere is doing right now. And that storm is actually riding that northern part of that warm, moist air. So when you have the colder air toward the north and the warmer air to the south starting to meet, you can get that rotation to be a little enhanced. And so that's what's happening with this storm. It's kind of following that boundary. Also, Chris at the National Service in Birmingham, Chris Darden, says that he thinks the circulation is beginning to cycle and tighten back up again.
Yeah, so we could see a new one try to form. Brandon, that's a good point. It's riding that boundary. Oftentimes, as you heard Brandon mention, there is an enhancement of shear along that boundary, and this storm is kind of riding that boundary. So if there's a storm that would produce a tornado, it's going to take advantage of that extra shear and extra uplift right there, and that's why it's producing this long track tornado versus the other storms that aren't doing much at all. There's obviously rain falling. There's other thunderstorms out there, but in terms of rotating thunderstorm that is producing a tornado, there's only one in our entire market, in all of central Alabama. So let's go back down into the storm, and I tell you what, this is the reflectivity. And I will say this, you know, the structure seems to be changing a little bit. It may not be as impressive as it was earlier, but clearly this thing could still produce a tornado right over Phipps. There's a Pearson there, West Blockton right there. That's the Tuscaloosa-Bibb County line. You got Hagler, you got Duncanville, Vance and Mercedes sits about right there. So the Mercedes plant, you're technically under the tornado warning. So that's this storm right here. And let's look at the velocity signature with this and just see what is happening. And yeah, this thing looks like it's trying to wrap back up, Brandon, very close to Phipps. So there may not be a tornado there now. It may still have one down, but most likely it doesn't. But I will say this, if this trend continues where this storm's trying to wrap back up, we're going to get a new tornado down at any time. And based off the fact that it's in that environment that could produce a tornado fairly efficiently, we could see another large tornado down. So again, if you're at Phipps or even in far southeast Tuscaloosa County, look, there we go. Here we go. New tornado forming right there. See that? Right below Phipps. So let's go into this thing. So we've got a new tornado forming. It's in that process. We're just talking about that cycling process. That's it. To the northeast of Ingram. This is clearly east of Highway 69. This is in northeast Hale County. We are about to get a new tornado down. If there's not one down now, that's Highway 25 that runs into Bibb County, southwest Bibb County, that runs over to Brent, Centerville. This thing's going to be north of Highway 25. There's no threat to Brent and Centerville. So again, if you are in the old path of that tornado back on March 25th, this thing's clearly going to be north of you. Of last year. But Phipps, shelter now. We got a brand new tornado beginning to develop right there. Let's see if it's already down, if we can see it on our correlation coefficient. And if you see it, Brandon, let me know. I don't see it on my end here, but we are about to have a tornado down within just a matter of a few minutes, I believe, based off of what we have seen in the history of this storm. Let's pull up the roads here, and again, let's just look at the roads and the path of this thing. That is NF Road 708 right there. Let's see, still don't see it yet. Let's keep going through these roads. County Road 49, County Road 49 Shelter, County Road 50 right there, County Road 718A. These are some odd name county roads here in Hale County. County Road 49. So again, this thing's going to cross County Road 49 on the north side of Highway 25 within a matter of a few minutes. We don't see a debris signature yet, but this thing is ramping back up just like it did in Sawyerville. So we can only assume that this thing could produce another tornado like it did in Sawyerville. It doesn't guarantee that, but you got to look at the history of the storm. It's a cyclical storm. You can safely interpolate or safely assume this is going to happen again. It may not, but we got to at least think it will. I would certainly consider this another tornado about to be down. County Road 50 right there. So again, these are the areas this tornado is going to cross. Let me clear that off and show you the velocity, because we can clearly see the rotational velocity. There it is right there. No doubt this thing's strengthening again. So there's Phipps. It's Highway 25 at the bottom of your screen where this tornado could be redeveloping now. We think it lifted briefly as it crossed Highway 69 just over Harper Hill. We think this thing briefly lifted and is in the process of touching back down as this thing wraps back up. A very cyclical storm. That means it cycles. It continues to do that. And this is no doubt a storm that is doing that right now. So here's a wide view. Let me put on the reflectivity out of Birmingham. I just let me take that off. I just want to show you this wide view briefly for a moment. And do want to also remind you, if you lose power, that we are on Facebook Live and on our website. So this is information that you can follow us through Facebook, Twitter, and our website, WVUA23.com. But easy way to watch us is through Facebook Live on WVUA23's Facebook page. And while we do that, just checking kind of behind the scenes here. And Weather Service just mentioned this is a radar indicated tornado for now, moving northeast at 45 miles per hour. So for the moment, this is a radar indicated tornado moving northeast at 45 miles per hour. So for everybody watching on Facebook Live, I'll tell you what, looking at some of the comments, several homes destroyed in Hale County. Somebody's asking about Moundville. Moundville was not impacted directly. This was well south of Moundville. We're seeing reports of homes damaged near the Havana Junction. I would think this would be on the south side of the Havana Junction. And again, I'm just checking reports. And I really appreciate everybody reporting what you're seeing where you are, because that is incredibly helpful to the warning process of people that are downstream from this particular storm. Brandon, you see anything over there in the Weather Center?
No, I see that the rotation's still pretty tight. We have a tornado vortex signature, which means that the winds are starting to get a little stronger and tighter. But according to the National Weather Service chat, got some trees down on County Road 5 and Campbell Road in Hale County.
We got a donut hole, Brandon, showing up there, a beware region. This is a bounded weak echo region that's popped up there. So this is certainly a sign of a strongly rotating thunderstorm. If anything, a tornado is going to be right there, that little higher reflectivity. Let's look at that. That's a suspicious spot. And if you see something on your end, let me know. I don't see anything on correlation coefficient, but again, that could be a tornado redeveloping there. Yeah, all right, we're about to have a tornado down if we don't now. Northeast of Phipps, okay? This is a very tight couplet. This is a small couplet. Brandon, this is a lot smaller than it was earlier when it moved through the Sawyerville area. But I think we do have at least a small tornado that is about touched down right now. And at any time, the Weather Service is probably going to confirm that, because if you see a tight signature like that in a storm like this, there's going to be a tornado down. So that's a tornado most likely developing right there. Let's look at the information on the wind speed inside the scene, kind of get a good idea of how strong it could be. I don't think it's overly strong. Yeah, we're seeing like 70 mile an hour gate-to-gate shear. But again, an EF0, EF1 tornado can be a threat to life and property if you're in a mobile home especially. New update on that. Let me clear that off.
I do want to pass
That's
this
it right there. Go ahead, Brandon.
Quick, that I know this is kind of the broader scope of the whole area, but I do want to say that the tornado watch is continuing for the counties that were already under it until 6 p.m., and they're now going to extend it for Clay, Coosa, St. Clair, Talladega counties, so a little further east now for this storm. They're following this storm. So that's the tornado watch update. Again, most of our areas under it, if you're from Tuscaloosa and Birmingham south until 6 p.m.
Brandon, where's the low pressure, the little meso low? If you want to look up that, because I can't right now, I want to say if I would be willing to bet the meso low is very close to Tuscaloosa.
I actually, looking at this right now, it's near the Pickens-Tuscaloosa County line.
Yeah, so that makes perfect sense. That's why this storm is doing all of this. So let me take you out to wide view, and let's just kind of explain what's happening. So a typical setup, this is an Anna front. This is a very shallow cold front, a southwest flow aloft for overrunning type of precip. So a lot of times you don't have tornadoes with this setup unless something else is happening. So what's happening on that front, a weak little tiny low pressure is formed over the Tuscaloosa-Pickens County line. This storm here is taking advantage of the extra shear around that low pressure. So it's kind of like a very minor, small scale environment that is producing tornadoes. Now, I know there's a tornado watch all the way down here into south central Alabama, but quite frankly, the best chance for seeing a tornado is going to be near and southeast of that little bitty low pressure. That little low pressure that's sitting right there. As that tracks northeast, this storm is going to follow that. So it will be really interesting to see how long this thing goes. Will it continue east of I-65? It's a possibility. But, you know, this thing is taking advantage of that environment clearly and producing a tornado. So I think that's exactly what's happening, Brandon, is we've got a pattern that doesn't really favor a lot of tornadoes, but we got this small-scale, low pressure involved with this cold front coming in, and that was just enough to get this thing going. And that's what's happening now.
Right, and you know, the temperature currently in Tuscaloosa, this is very interesting. The temperature right now in Tuscaloosa is 70.
Wow.
You go across the state line in Columbus, it's 39. That's about a 60-mile difference.
Let's look at that. So, yeah, Tuscaloosa almost at 70. I've got a temperature map. See if I can find it. It's one of these graphics here. And I may have taken that off. Yeah, I think I took that off. I'm going to go back over to that, Brandon, and show exactly what you're talking about. In fact, go ahead. I think we got a TDS.
We have an observed tornado now that was located near Low Gap, or 16 miles southeast of Tuscaloosa, moving northeast at 40.
Okay, so we got another tornado down. We've been talking about this. We knew it was about to happen, and it has happened. So we've got a tornado down in northeast Hale County. We can talk about the temperatures in a little bit, but yeah, there it is, okay? So if you are really on the southeast side of Duncanville towards Hagler on Highway 82, this is an urgent call to action to do something now. If you're in a mobile home, got a brand new tornado down, and unfortunately we saw this about to take shape. And there is our velocity couplet. Brandon, you know, I will say this is a smaller couplet compared to Sawyerville.
Right, this is a little bit more smaller and confined to the one that was about 45 minutes ago.
Yeah, but there's no doubt there's a tornado there. So look, let me just say this. Yeah, there it is. There's your little TDS. This is a small tornado. This isn't a large, violent tornado like we saw earlier. It doesn't mean it can't wrap up and generate a larger tornado, but at least this is a smaller tornado compared to Sawyerville. But this can be a threat to life and property if you're in a mobile home, especially. Even if you're in a side-built house, understand a tornado that could knock trees over is a threat to life and property. So even if you're in a side-built structure, it doesn't matter. This is a confirmed tornado. There it is. There's a debris signature right there. It's going to move over the northwestern tip of Bibb, or the western tip of Bibb County, and then move into far southeast Tuscaloosa County. Again, there's Pearson there. That's Highway 82 over Hagler. There's Coaling, Vance, the Mercedes plant at the top of your screen. This tornado is going to move right over 82 near the Bibb and Tuscaloosa County line, and then move over towards Interstate 2059, Highway 11 at the top of your screen. So, again, let me just reiterate. If you are in Tuscaloosa, Moundville, Northport, Samantha, there's no threat to you. This is clearly southeast of Duncanville. So, again, the Hagler area, that's where we're concerned about this tornado that's clearly down. Let's look at the, I tell you what, let me take this off and zoom out just enough. I want to do a track on this thing because I need to show who is in the path of this thing. This, once again, another tornado. Brandon, we looked at the velocity signature. We saw it in that process of wrapping back up, and there it is. It's another one down. Hopefully this will not last long, but we know there's a tornado down. So it's moving northeast. Brandon, what was the speed on that again? Was it 45 or 50?
It's moving at 40.
Oh, 40, okay. So moving northeast just like that at 40 miles per hour. And eventually this thing's going to move into Jefferson County if it continues. So, again, the Pearson area, Hagler at 2:46, Bletcher's at 3 o'clock, okay? These are the times of arrival. West Blockton at 3:07, Woodstock, 3:11. Understand if you are even at the Mercedes plant, we're talking about that general time frame about 3:07-ish, 3:05. It's going to be near the Mercedes plant. Abernant, 3:16, Bucksville at 3:21, the Johns area, that's over in Jefferson County, 3:27, Smithson at 3:33. So again, these are the times of arrival here. for this tornado that's confirmed down. Let me clear this off. Let's go back into the storm, go in tight. Again, if you are in, even if you're in Brookwood to the west towards Tuscaloosa, there's not a threat to you. This is going to be the very southeastern tip of the county. There's the new scan. There's no doubt there's a tornado down. This is south of Duncanville. It's going to be moving right over the Hagler area as we speak. So in the next 5 minutes, Hagler, you're going to be in the direct path of this tornado. Let's zoom in tight. Eolin right there.
Now on the reflectivity.
Yeah, that's it.
The latest scan.
This thing's tight. So again, there's a tornado right there. This is the triple point of Hale County, Bibb County, and southeast Tuscaloosa County. That's our tornado. It's down right there. I do want to quickly show the reflectivity. I just want to see that too, Brandon. And yeah, there it is right there. You see that little enhancement of reflectivity right there. So we've got a confirmed tornado that's no doubt down. Let's look at the velocity signature on this thing. And there's our tight couplet right there. Again, it's not as large as it once was, but no doubt there's a couplet there. And just checking with Hale County EMA, Russell Whedon, thank you, Steve. We're getting reports of several injuries now in Hale County. EMA officials are trying to cut into areas with chainsaws. There's people trapped. Multiple people calling saying they're trapped under mobile homes.
Richard, if we'll take Apple TV, I have a new picture from Sawyerville. And,
oh my goodness, look at that.
That's destroyed. There's nothing left of that house.
Is that a site-built house?
I can't tell. This comes from Brian Wilson. He says that he just came across major tornado damage 2 miles north of Sawyerville. Reports of entrapments nearby. 2 trucks were in the pond. And so I know that the picture is really hard to see because it's not taken horizontally. But, that's a pretty sizable damage. And we can't tell if that's a mobile home or a site-built home, but, nevertheless, that's some pretty bad damage.
Brandon, we're saying, when we're in tornado coverage, we have to use our words careful how we say things. But, when this tornado's down, it was big. When you was big, if you were in a mobile home, you could die from this tornado. Right. Your life is in direct threat. So, again, please take this thing serious. This thing's doing damage like that. So let's go back over to radar and look at the couplet on this thing. Very tight couplet. It's a small couplet. It's not as large of a couplet, but it's tight. It could be a strong tornado in a tight, confined area, but that's it. This is Tuscaloosa County. Hagler is right there at the top of your screen. That is Highway 82 at the top of your screen. This is not a threat for Tuscaloosa. At downtown, you're fine. This is clearly in the southeastern corner of the county, but this thing is down. Look at the debris. Look at this thing, Brandon. This thing is expanding, a larger debris field now. So this thing is destroying forest land, homes right now. What we're looking at is this is correlation coefficient. There's debris being lofted in the atmosphere. There's different size objects that the radar is picking up on. And most likely this is structures being torn apart by this tornado. So again, this is an extremely dangerous tornado that's down. And I think this thing may be getting a lot stronger, Brandon, compared to just a few minutes ago. So we got a stronger developing tornado. This thing could be violent. That's moving to southeast Tuscaloosa County. There's a Hagler area. You've got to be in shelter now. If you are in Hagler, this is an urgent call to action. If you're in a mobile home, shelter now. That is Shiloh Fire Tower Road. If you're familiar with Shiloh Fire Tower Road, this tornado is crossing there right now. This is about to cross directly over you. So again, these are some of the roads I'm trying to label here for you so you can see what we're talking about. But this is south of 82. Again, the Shiloh Fire Tower Road kind of makes that loop right there just on the south side of Hagler on 82. Brandon, what you got? Look at the debris.
Just looking at the debris signature, it's very strong, And I just wanted to call the attention to the Mercedes plant because I know that's a pretty big plant coming up there on Interstate 20 near Vance.
Yes.
So if you're at the Mercedes plant, you need to be, in your safe place. You need to be taking shelter.
Yeah, absolutely. Mercedes, Vance, please shelter now. I imagine they're going through their tornado precautions in the moment, but that is large metal buildings that would not withstand a tornado very well. So We got a little while before it gets there. I would say probably a good 15 minutes or so, and it's going to be very close to the Vance or Mercedes plant area. There's your tornado. I want to zoom out just for a moment, and you see how tiny that the tornado is compared to our entire area. So the reason I'm showing you this is because most people are just fine. Let's take on the reflectivity. And for everybody watching on TV and on Facebook Live, let me show you this wide view. We have one very dangerous thunderstorm producing a tornado. It has an expanding TDS, which is a tornado debris signature. But again, if you are in Coaling, we want you in shelter now. The Hagler area on 82, shelter now. This is an urgent call to action as we do have a tornado down. There are no other tornadoes out there in a coverage area. Brandon, I think this is the only threat for the day, is that storm right there. Right. Nothing down here is doing anything. Nothing up here is doing anything. That storm is it.
Yeah, and so, this storm's going to continue to move over toward the northeast toward the Birmingham Metro. So that just a little heads up, if you're in the Birmingham Metro, in about an hour, this storm will be moving in. But I do want to point out, Richard, just southwest of this storm, there's another little shower. I'd call it a shower.
Yeah, I see that down there.
And the rotation's starting to increase with it.
About that. That's part of that little meso low we're talking about. So there's clearly enhancement. You're talking about this north of Greensboro.
Yes.
Yeah, so that little area too, we need to watch carefully. The reflectivity's kind of come down on this. Typically when you see that happen, it's going to be in a weakening phase, but it is still producing a tornado now. Let's look at the velocity. I want to look at this back to the southwest, Brandon. Yeah, see that little area down there below Harper Hill, north of Greensboro, crossing 69. It does look like our couplet is weakening quickly. I think it's occluded off now in southeast Tuscaloosa County. You see that? That's not near as impressive as it was last scan, but how many times this happened? This is the fourth time since we've been on air this thing cycled. So just because it's doing that doesn't mean we're going to say, hey, it's over. Because trust me, this thing could cycle again, produce another tornado. But this thing is certainly a dangerous thunderstorm. But if you are in Tuscaloosa, there's no threat to you in downtown. In fact, I would say there's no threat for the rest of the day if you are in Tuscaloosa, points west. And when this thing calms down, Brandon, I do want to show you that temperature map too, because that is quite interesting to see. Yeah, so yeah, okay, the tornado's dissipating now, Brandon. Look at the debris. Yeah, we're losing our tornadoes. It's dissipating right now.
More broad. And even looking at the lightning display here just a second ago, the lightning has really come down too. So it might be in a weakening phase finally.
Yeah, I think this tornado just dissipated. What you're looking at is still debris falling out of the sky. This is all debris that's falling out of the sky. And typically when you see this, you get the little tight debris signature. We just saw a minute ago, Brandon, very tight signature. And then all of a sudden you get this thing broaden out and it kind of lightens up in color. You don't see that dark blue you just saw. We've still got debris falling out of the sky. This may be tree limbs, maybe boards, maybe parts of structures still falling out of the sky. Understand, this stuff can get thrown 10, 15,000 feet above your head, above the ground. Well, it takes a while for the lighter objects to come all the way down to the ground. And you know, Brandon, something that we don't really talk about a whole lot in tornado coverage and feel like we should is when you see debris falling out, even if there's not a tornado down, if you're standing outside, you could be hitting the head with a 2x4 or some sort of object. Don't go out and look for this tornado. There could be stuff falling out of the sky on top of you.
You know, a tornado is a rotating updraft, so it sucks everything up once it hits something, you know, and that can go thousands and thousands of feet in the air. So that'll be dispersed later on coming down. It could be a few minutes after the tornado even lifts, and you can still have, you know, debris falling out of the sky.
Yeah, we've seen that many times with tornadoes in the past. If you go back to April 27, 2011, we saw that very thing. You know, debris was falling in Birmingham as Tuscaloosa was being hit by the tornado, you know, as it's getting northeast of Tuscaloosa. So, you know, we see this debris that falls out of the sky, and you get, you know, different sized objects that are falling out of the sky, and that's a hazard if you're out there. But clearly, the debris signature is dispersing for now. So look at the velocity. I want to look at this thing together. We are watching this thing incredibly close. As while I say that, I'm not trying to let your guard down. This thing could wrap right back up and produce another tornado. It doesn't look the same, Brandon. The velocity does not look the same, does it?
A lot disorganized. That's what I'd like to say.
It is
disorganized.
You're right. It is really disorganized. Even earlier, when it had lifted briefly over Hill County, down around Harper Hill, it still had that southern end, that strong wind that kind of wrapped around it. I don't see that now. So that is an encouraging thing to see. But if you are in far southeast Tuscaloosa County, far northwest Bibb County, we're going to stay in shelter, mobile home, out of that. Site-built structure to protect your life from the potential for a new tornado that could easily develop. And again, let's watch this to the southwest, Brandon. That's over northern Hale County. That's just east of the Havana Junction.
Might be riding that boundary that the same storm did from before, the lead storm.
Yeah, and oftentimes we see that happen. The trailing storm becomes dominant, and the leading storm will dissipate. But still, let's watch it. Okay, down to the south, I do want to show you this over Marengo County. This over the Marengo, Peoria, and Dallas and Wilcox County line. That's not a tornado-producing storm. That's more of a strong straight-line wind. But we'll carefully watch that storm as it kind of enters our southern counties like southern Perry and southern Chilton and see if those storms can get going. But right now, that's not happening. There's no threat if you are in Tuscaloosa and points northwest. This thing, there's nothing out here. There's some rain, some thunder maybe, but you are in stable air back here in East Mississippi and Northwest Alabama. Our only storm of concern is this one. It's the one that's riding the boundary that continues to produce on and off tornadoes. We've got injuries now in Hale County. We've got multiple entrapments. We've got people that can't even get to the entrapments because there's trees down everywhere, and law enforcement are trying to cut through, and EMA are trying to cut through that to get to where there's homes damaged, and that is all around the Sawyerville area.
I still have that picture pulled up on the Apple TV if y'all want to take it, and this is just some of the damage that we're seeing in Sawyerville. It's pretty significant damage.
Hey, Brandon, just a quick note from the EMA down there and the Sheriff's Department. They're asking people in Hale County, if you are anywhere near this tornado, stay off the roads. This is not a time to sightsee, as we call it. I remember after the tornado hit Tuscaloosa, that's all you had was people just driving and trying to look at the damage and see what's happened. We need rescue personnel down there looking for people. We don't need people clogging the roads trying to look at the damage. You can look at that tomorrow. The damage is still going to be there tomorrow. Wait till tomorrow to do that. But right now, we need law enforcement and EMA searching for people. We need the officials down there looking for people, looking for survivors, looking for people injured and treating those people. We don't want to clog the roads with sightseers, so let's stay off the roads down there near Sawyerville. If you're anywhere down near 14 in Sawyerville, that was the hardest hit area for this tornado. Now this tornadic storm is over the Tuscaloosa-Bibb County line, and Brandon, it's really shifting more east now. I would say if you're a Mercedes, you're going to be okay.
Going a little bit more south of the interstate now.
Yeah, what's the boundary? Do you have it pulled up over there, Brandon? I'd be interested to see that. If you can, I want to see that myself. When I'm stuck on the weather wall, I can't really look at the data that you can see in the background. Weather Service still continues the tornado warning for extreme southeast Tuscaloosa County and northwest Bibb County. That goes until 3:15. It's about another 15 more minutes. Just checking information here. I don't see any reports other than what's going on down in Hale County. That's the only place of concern. Let's see. Got some questions. Somebody's asking that is actually at Mercedes right now. Are we safe? I think you are at the Mercedes plant. I can imagine you guys are still going through your tornado precautions, but it certainly looks like if there's going to be a tornado, it's going to be more on the Bibb County side of Tuscaloosa County, maybe on the Bibb County side towards West Blockton and North Bibb and Woodstock. So if there is still a tornado there, that's where it's going to be tracking in that general direction. So I feel confident, Brandon, and if you want to confirm that too, what you're seeing, if you're at the Mercedes plant, I think you're okay.
Unless, something happens here in the next 10 minutes where it might cycle up and move more north than east. I think it will go south of the interstate and south of the Mercedes plant.
I think so,
they're still
too.
in Polygon, so.
Yeah, and, we always say this, if you're in the Polygon, do something, take action. But there's no doubt this thing, if it does wrap up, I think it's going to be right around here, maybe towards West Blockton or Woodstock, and towards Taney Hill State Park. So if it's going to wrap up again, it's going to happen in there. I don't see any strong screaming evidence of this thing ramping back up and producing another tornado. Doesn't mean it's not going to happen, but clearly this thing is mainly out of Tuscaloosa County and into northern Bibb County. Let's look at the debris signature. I want to watch that too, and just see what we've got here. Yeah, still seeing some evidence of debris falling out of the sky south of Coaling, between Hagler and Coaling, on the Hagler-Coaling Road. But again, I don't see any screaming sign of a tornado down. Let's look at the lightning display. Brandon, you mentioned this just a moment ago. The lightning output is much less compared to earlier. Yeah, there's no lightning. Look at that. There's no lightning within that over the past 5 minutes with this now shower that is weakly rotating. So the Weather Service is going to continue the tornado warning for about 25 more minutes. It will be interesting to see if they decide to let this thing go, but we're definitely not out of the woods yet. This thing going to wrap up and produce another tornado. So again, while things are kind of calming down a little bit, let me remind you there's still a tornado warning for extreme southeast Tuscaloosa County and extreme east Tuscaloosa County and northwest Bibb County. The tornado warning continues, and let me just mention this thing could ramp back up. It could produce a new tornado. So let's keep this thing in our eyesights carefully. And Brandon, if you see anything too on this, let me know.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sure the reason why they're not, they're not canceling the tornado warning is because it has cycled so
like 4
much.
times. Yeah.
And so with it cycling so much, they're just being more safe than sorry.
Assuming it could cycle again and produce another tornado. Hey, Brandon, I've got the temperature map pulled up. I just want to show you this. Wow, look at that.
Wow.
That is incredible. 70 in Tuscaloosa, 39 in Columbus.
31-degree difference.
Wow, that is something else. You know, when I came in earlier this morning, it was so warm outside, and I know it's still warm in Tuscaloosa, but it is going to be cold by the time I get out of here. That cold air will take over this afternoon and this evening. I do want to show you this. This is from our Brian Denny camera. And again, we're not looking for a tornado here, but we're just looking outside conditions, and it is very wet and dreary, no doubt. The storm that is producing the tornado, the possible tornado, is way off towards the east. There's no way we're going to be able to see that, but I just want to show you our Brian Denny camera for perspective. And Brandon, if you have any more pictures too, let me know.
Yeah, I've still got that picture of the house destroyed in Sawyerville. Again, we're not sure if that is a mobile home or a site-built home, but, nevertheless, it's gone. So, and, nearby where the guy who tweeted this said that there were entrapments nearby. Now, of course, we don't have a specific location. We just know it's in Sawyerville on Highway 14. And along with this picture, he also sent us a picture that there was 2 trucks in a lake near that area. So, we're still getting some damage.
Is that a lake or is that from floodwaters?
I'm not sure. We've had so much rain lately that you can't really tell.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. There may be a hillside or either a pond dam on the other side of that.
Right.
But clearly, this tornado was incredibly strong. This was a site-built structure, Brandon. And,
yes.
Yeah, there you go. And look at that. I mean, clearly, that's significant tornado damage to a house. And here's the deal. What's going to happen is the National Weather Service tomorrow, well, they're going to go out and they're going to send out the survey teams. They're going to look at all this damage and they're going to be able to tell us how strong the tornado is. We can't tell you that now. We can look at the damage and kind of give you an idea of how strong we think it is, but these guys are experts. They're structural engineers. They know that house right there can withstand a certain type of tornado and wind speed. It's incredibly brilliant scientists out there that are able to look at this data and tell you how strong it was. But go back to, if you can, Brandon, to that mobile home just for a moment, if you can, and or the site built. Can you turn that sideways, or does that matter? There we go.
There you go. I also just want to pass
go
along, because I know this is into the path toward Birmingham. Hoover City Schools are delaying the dismissal of all students due to the potential of the severe weather moving in. So, they're just kind of watching out for their students that could come in, for the storms that could come in here in the next hour or so. But again, you're looking at that picture of the house in Sawyerville on Highway 14, I believe it was 2 miles north. And again, we're not sure if that was a mobile home.
Brendan, I think that's a mobile home. I can see the iron frame there. of the structure, the black frame that extends horizontally there on the ground. So we can only hope that nobody was inside that structure. Whenever there's a tornado, please get out of a mobile home. If you're in the path of a tornado, if you're inside that thing, the chance you survive is almost zero. We do know stories that people survive structures like that that are badly injured, but they survive it. Just please understand this is a big deal. A tornado hitting a mobile home especially can destroy it within seconds, and there's just no safe place in a mobile home. And we often tell people, get out of a mobile home. We're not trying to pick on you. If you're in a mobile home, we're not trying to say, don't live there. We're just saying if you are in the path of a tornado, please do something to save your life, to save your family's life. If you have family, if you have relatives, people that are going to miss you if you're gone, if you're in the path of a tornado, get out of a mobile home. Site-built structure. We tell people that over and over and over again because this is the real deal. This is serious business. This is somebody's life right here.
And this is why we tell people, have a plan. When a tornado watch is issued and you live in a mobile home, have a plan so if a tornado warning is issued, you know where you can go very quickly. You have a safe place to go to.
Yeah, and Brandon, here's the deal. A lot of times, we get it. We have tornado warnings, and sometimes nothing happens where you are. But the problem is you don't know when that time is going to be your time. You don't know, is this going to be the storm that actually produces a tornado where you are, or is this going to be another storm that produces a tornado 10 miles from you? And that's why our job is to tell you where exactly we think the tornado is. But if you're in a Polygon, just do something about it. Go somewhere, find a site-built structure, storm shelter. And I know there may be an inconvenience for you, but I'm telling you, your family and your friends, your loved ones that care about you, will thank you for doing that whenever they see, hey, this person wasn't home. They lived because they weren't home there. So please do something about it. All right, let's go back over to our graphics. And I do want to remind you, we've got information online on Twitter and Facebook, and also we're streaming on Facebook Live. I do want to remind you that as well. So we have one tornadic storm in our entire coverage area. Everything else is below severe criteria. There's a lot of rain out there, but in terms of severe weather, for West Alabama, if you're west of this a new tornado warning, Brandon, or is that an update?
I believe it was a update. Yeah, they're going to continue the tornado warning for Bibb and Tuscaloosa until 3:15. Okay,
so yeah, I saw the Polygon pop up there. So they're going to continue. Yeah, look at the storm. The structure is very much disorganized now, and there's a lot of heavy rain down to the south of it. So hopefully that will allow this thing to stop rotating and to kind of disorganize the updraft of it. But let me say this now. That looks interesting, right on the Tuscaloosa-Bibb County line. So this thing may try to spin up another tornado, Brandon. It looks disorganized, but it may do it again. This will be, what, the fifth time?
At least 5 times, yeah, the 5th time.
Unbelievable. This thing just will not die out.
What might be happening is the shear up in this area, the wind shear that produces the turning of the winds, is probably pretty good up through here, but your instability, your fuel for the thunderstorms, you're running out of it as you get toward the Birmingham metro.
Yeah, so you're getting that weaker storm, right, Brandon? It's a weaker storm, but it's still able to rotate and spin and could produce another tornado. Now, when we're getting a setup like this, most likely to be a brief tornado, kind of like the last one, we just had a very brief tornado in northeast Hale County and then far southeast Tuscaloosa County. It's trying its best to do something, but it's not quite there. So again, there's Vance right there. Your weak rotation is going to pass just southeast of Vance. It's coming up on Woodstock. It should stay just below Highway 11 there. The Mercedes plant sits right there, and you see that's where it's going like that. So Woodstock, Caffey Junction there. You've got, there's Jefferson County, there's Shelby County. That's the Cahaba River down there at the edge of your screen. Again, our concern is going to be over the Tuscaloosa and Bibb County line. That's where this thing's heading right now. But the junction of Highway 5 and Highway 11, if this thing decides to revamp itself, it decides to wrap back up and produce another tornado, it's going to be right here. That's where it's going to be. So it's moving northeast still at 50 miles per hour. Brookwood, Coaling points west. There's no threat to you. You're okay. Again, Tuscaloosa, there's no threat to you. You're perfectly fine. Here's our Bryant Denny camera in Tuscaloosa. And I tell you what, for guys back in the control room, I know you mentioned the damage in Hale County. I would be really interested to talk to the EMA director down there, Russell Whedon, to see what they are coming up on now. Okay, yeah, so they're working on getting that. So just let me know in my ear if you guys are able to talk to them. So Tuscaloosa 69, winds out of south of 10. That's about to dramatically change as cold air takes over. As Brandon and I were talking about, it's cold here, warm here. Cold air is coming in quickly. And that boundary is what we're watching. Here's a look at the radar and satellite. These are the storms we've been dealing with. And look at the trend of this thing. See how strong it looks, and now it's beginning to weaken just a bit. It's moving out of that good instability. And look, watch the storms up here, Brandon. We're just kind of doing a real-life radar analysis for you. Watch the storms up here that moved across East Mississippi, Northwest Alabama. Look how fast they're weakening now as they move out of that instability. So clearly the air is more unstable down here, and it's that storm, the one troubled storm that keeps on going, as it moves out of that instability, perhaps that will be it, but it doesn't mean it's over yet. So let's keep an eye on things carefully over the next several hours. Here's a look at the radar. Let's go back into the storm that is still weakly rotating. There's no other hazards out there. There's this one storm that just kind of continues here. And no doubt this thing is not as impressive as it once was, but still it bears watching. Technically for about 10 more minutes, there's a tornado warning for far east Tuscaloosa County, north and northwest Bibb County, Woodstock, West Blockton in the tornado warning Polygon. Technically, the Vance and Mercedes area is under that as well. And still watching that southern edge there. I don't see any strong evidence of a tornado down, but that could change at just about any given time.
Yep, so Chris
go ahead.
Darden at the National Weather Service in Birmingham, he's kind of echoing what we're saying. General trend with the Bibb and Tuscaloosa County storm has been weakening, but we've seen it cycle so many times we're going to let the warning time ride through. So they're going to keep it until 3:15.
Yeah, and that's a good, I agree. That's a good idea, Brandon, because this thing, no doubt, could just continue to recycle. And it may be a little tight couplet trying to form. You see that right there? Goodness, that's close to Mercedes, and we were just telling Mercedes folks we think you're going to be okay.
Small circulation.
Yeah, so hey, if you are at the Mercedes plant at Vance, let's go to shelter. Let's stay there just a little bit longer. This could be 5 minutes, it'll be gone. Because we were just saying we thought that you guys may be okay, but let's go to shelter, stay there just for a little bit. I don't really like that. There's Vance right there, Dowell right there. That's going to be tracking along Highway 11. That's 11 right there. So let's see, Mercedes, isn't that right there, Brandon? That's Mercedes. It's hard for me to see the small TV.
Yes.
Yeah, there's Mercedes between, right there, because that's the exit on the interstate. Between Highway 11 and Interstate 2059, so that's the plant. So the rotation is on the southeast side. So yeah, you're okay if you're at the plant. The rotation is about 1.5 miles to your southeast, and it's coming up on downtown Vance. And then there's Dowdle there. And then you got the Bibb County line. That's the Bibb County line, that black line right there. East of that is Bibb County. So yeah, you got this little area of rotation here that's trying to flare back up. But this is clearly to the southeast of the plant. So if you've got family or loved ones at the Mercedes plant now, if there is a tornado down, it's going to be just a couple of miles southeast of you and not of the plant itself.
I just want to point out that on the southern part of this storm, we're starting to get some, wraparound toward West Blockton. So the northern Bibb County part of this storm might be starting to cycle.
Okay, let's look at it then. Let me zoom out just a bit. And the cycle process we're talking about, this storm, the updraft continues, but the rotation towards the surface, we're watching that. So I'm going to put on the velocity so we can see that together. Yeah, I see that, Brandon, right there. So this thing may try to revamp a new tornado. If it's going to happen, it's going to be right here, I think, near Woodstock, along Highway 11. That'll be east of Vance. So if this thing does cycle a new tornado, it's going to be somewhere in here. It hasn't happened yet, but it could happen. So again, a heads up if you're in Woodstock or West Blockton, we could see a new tornado try to form there. And I wouldn't be surprised if that thing dropped a little brief EF0 just for a moment. Over Vance, just on the southeast side of the plant.
Yeah, I saw something. Oh, yep. Correlation coefficient.
Oh, did you see it?
A dropout just northeast of Vance. It's in that new scan, so it might take you a second to get through the system. But I'm seeing it here on my radar, and there's just a little bitty dropout. So we might have had a weak tornado. Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised. Probably a little EF0 or something right there. Look, we don't rate tornadoes like this. This is a very informal. We think it's a quick, brief EF0. Don't bet your life on it, because if there is a tornado, you got to seek shelter and do something about it. Even if I say if it's an EF0, it could be stronger. We're just saying we think that based off the history of these storms. So we're going to watch that carefully. As soon as I get that update, Brandon, I will bring it to you. The warning Polygon continues. There it is. You can see that large polygon there. But again, the core threat area is going to be right here. There's Woodstock. There is Caffey Junction. That's on Interstate 59. The interchange of Highway 11, where it runs into Highway 5, or where Highway 5 technically runs into 11. That's where this potential tornado is going to go. And Brandon, the Weather Service, I believe did they update that?
They've continued it just about a couple minutes ago. There's radar indicated.
I got you.
But like I said, we have that rotation toward Vance, and then toward west, a little south of that rotation. I believe there's a new one trying to form again toward West Blockton on Highway 5. So if you scoot down just a little to the south.
I see somebody. Let me go down.
Yeah.
And again, what we're doing, we're just watching velocity. We're trying to see where this is about to happen again, if there's a new tornado developing. We're trying to predict this storm best we can. Let me zoom out just a bit. And what we're doing is kind of like a radar analysis. Yeah, I see that down there. You see that little spot? Let's look at the reflectivity and see if the updraft's strong enough to do something. New tornado warning right there, Brandon, I think just popped up, didn't it? Did that pop up?
I don't have anything in the chat just yet.
Okay.
They might be still updating
wow.
the current.
Look at the information from Brett Adair, Brandon. At least 2 vehicles were lofted and thrown into a pond, trying to get information on where they came from. That's the pictures we showed.
The picture that I've got right there.
Yeah,
So,
that's it right there. So Brett Adair mentioning on the National Weather Service chat room, they're not even sure where these vehicles came from. So they were lofted in the air and thrown into this pond. Don't know if anybody was in there. Hopefully not. Every time I see a vehicle thrown like that, I always think about December 16th of 2000. Brandon, I don't know if you know the story. There was, in front of Winn-Dixie on Highway 69, there was a father and son that were driving up 69. They were swept off the road by the tornado. I think the father was killed in that. That was right there at the Winn-Dixie Shopping Center right across from Shelton. And every time I see a pickup truck thrown by a tornado, I often think about that family and where they are now and how they're doing after losing that loved one from a tornado. And this is why we always tell people, out of a vehicle in a tornado, I'm telling you, these things are like kites in a tornado. They fly, they go hundreds of feet, if not more, and you just don't know what's going to happen. So, yeah, there's some vehicles there swept into a pond down around Sawyerville in Hale County. All right, let's go back over to radar, and I want to show you this. And what Brandon was talking about is this little spot. We've got a new little area trying to form down there. This is the northern circulation that's basically fizzled out now. The southern end there may try to become dominant, and if that's the case, West Blockton to Gray Hill, you need to be in shelter if this thing tries to wrap up and produce a new tornado. Technically, the tornado warning expires in just a few minutes, but let's just watch that little hook trying to form down there. That could be another tornado.
Output has increased as well in the last 5 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, that's going to pop up here too. Let me show you this. This is quite interesting, Brandon. We can see 2 different hooks. All right, I think we've got a new warning. Yes.
Tornado warning for Jefferson, Shelby, and Tuscaloosa until 4:15.
Okay, yeah, so new tornado warning just issued. We got 2 rotations right there. There's a hook with the northern one. I think that one's going to die out, and the southern one's going to become dominant. So Gray Hill, we need you in shelter now. West Blockton and points north, we need you in shelter as we have the potential for a new tornado that is beginning to develop. That could be wrapping up down there. Brandon, that was a great catch on that, watching that little circulation. So again, the northern one is fizzling out, but it could still produce a brief tornado. The southern one is becoming dominant, and that one's heading for Jefferson and northern Shelby County. So while we do that, I do want to remind you, it's just after 3 o'clock now. Chief Meteorologist Richard Scott here. Brandon Richards in the Weather Center with us. We are watching a tornadic thunderstorm that continues to cycle and produce tornado after tornado after tornado. This thing may be about to produce another one. We got a brand new tornado warning in effect there. Yeah, look at there it is, a couplet forming right there on Highway 5 on the north side of West Blockton. So if you're in Gray Hill, we need you in shelter now. The northern circulation has fizzled out. The southern one's becoming dominant. Typically, you can't have two circulations next to each other. One becomes dominant. Most of the time, the southern one does become dominant. That's what's happening right there. Let me zoom out just a bit. We need to do a track on this thing and show you where this tornado is going. And I think we're about to get a new tornado down. I would be willing to bet that in the next 5 minutes we're going to see a correlation coefficient drop out and a tornado down based off the history of this storm. Look at the tight couplet. Yeah, we got one coming down. So please understand, if you are in southwest Jefferson County, extreme northern Bibb County, if you're out towards Tanny Hill State Park, if you're Alabaster to Helena to Hoover, even towards downtown Birmingham, we got a tornado developing right now, a new tornado that's developing. It's not technically confirmed yet, but it will be within a matter of moments. Based off that signature, I can guarantee one is about to touch down.
This is moving into a populated area.
Yes,
to
it
be
is.
Specific, over 500,000 people are in this warning alone. So if something's going to happen, we're going to know about it.
Yeah, it won't take long to figure out there's a tornado down. Tornado is crossing, and I say tornado, the radar indicated tornado is crossing Highway 5 as we speak. In fact, just down below the screen, you got West Blockton now. Clearly, the tornado's passed just north of West Blockton, so you are okay if you are in downtown and point south. But if you are north of West Blockton, this tornado is going to continue to cross out of Bibb County, move towards the Gray Hill area. And let me look at the correlation coefficient. That could be it right there. That may be it right there, a debris signature popping up on our radar. Tell you what, Brandon, if you want to keep an eye on the correlation coefficient of the Weather Center, I'm going to go back over and do a track on this thing real quick because I want to show everybody the path of this thing. And if you see that dropout show up, let me know, because I think that's likely our tornado developing. So again, this isn't confirmed yet, but here's a new update. It hasn't changed much. All right, so what's going to happen is this tornado is redeveloping. It's in a cyclical process. This has happened several times now. We got a brand new tornado that's beginning to develop, so let's treat it like one could be down. Hopefully one will not touch down, but we think it could. Very tight couplet right there. This thing's going to be moving right towards the Bessemer area. I'm telling you, Brandon, this is in a bad spot. If this continues, we're going to see a tornado move in a very heavily populated part of Alabama. So I want to do a track on this thing. Let's show you who's going to deal with this potential tornado. And I say potential, technically it's not confirmed yet, but it should be at any time. And what was the speed on that, Brandon? Was that 50 or 40?
It was 45.
Okay. Here we go. This is the times of arrival, so pay close attention to this because this is very important to your life and property. At 3:35, it's going to be in Greenwood. But before it gets to Greenwood, it's going to move over to Tanny Hill State Park. Woodstock, it's close, but I think you're okay. This is just a hair to your southeast. Bessemer, 340. Hoover, 348. Vestavia Hills, that's at 352. Downtown Birmingham, 357. Irondale, 403. Okay. Weems and Centerpoint. If this continues, these will be the areas in the direct path of this potential tornado that could be redeveloping now. It may cycle, it may fizzle out before getting to you, but the chances are it could produce a tornado in these areas at this time. So we often tell people, what do we say? Out of a mobile home, find a site-built structure, a brick home, wood frame home, anything that's site-built structure. You want to get in that lowest floor of your home, many walls between you and the outside as possible. If you got a basement, get in that. If you are in a basement, get against a wall of your basement, because if your home is hit by the tornado, your structure will collapse into the center of your basement. If you're on the outer walls of that, that will protect your body from the collapsing structure. I know that can be morbid and sounds awful, but just keep in mind these little things could save your life. So if you are in a basement, always stay against the walls or the corners of the basement. That's going to be the best place to go in the event a tornado hits your structure and the structure collapses downward. I've seen it many times. Brandon, you have too, homes that are hit, and that's the situation. Mobile home, got to get out of that. We've already had injuries. We have not had any word of loss of life. Hopefully we will not get any down around the Sawyerville area, very hard hit by the same storm that produced a tornado down there. Multiple structures destroyed, multiple people still entrapped, calling 911 trying to get help, and they're having a hard time getting those people because there's so many trees down on the roadways there. This potential tornado is going to take this track and move directly into Jefferson County or North Shelby County. Let me clear this off. And let's look at the warning polygon. There it is. Again, this is a bad place for tornado warning. It's moving in a heavily populated area. You got Bessemer right there, Greenwood, McCalla, Hoover, downtown Birmingham. There's Lake Purdy. We got Helena that's going to be in the path of this potential tornado. Remember, Helena was hit March 17th of last year. March 25th or 17th, Brandon. There's so many tornado days. I think that was
25th. The 25th is the one that hit Helena and then Centerville.
Okay, yeah, there's one up here and there's one down there to the south. So we had two big outbreaks back in March 17th and March 25th, and there's so many tornadoes you're trying to keep up. Yes, you're right. I believe that was because it went up through Indian Springs Village. So again, if you're in this area, Pleasant Grove, Oak Grove, Hueytown, Bessemer, Greenwood, McCalla, interchange of 459 and Interstate 20. Got to be in shelter now. This thing will eventually move into downtown Birmingham. Downtown Birmingham is in the center of the Polygon, so if this thing keeps its direct path, it could move right into this major metropolitan area. I will say this, you know, and Brandon, I know you've noticed this too, it seems like if tornadoes get up here in Bessemer or up towards Pleasant Grove, you got these mountains down here that typically kind of impede the inflow into the tornado. Right. A lot of times they weaken or dissipate before moving right into downtown. It's very rare to get a tornado in that part of the state because of this mountain range right here, but it can happen.
National Weather Service in Birmingham, Jason Davis to be specific, is saying that there's a new CC drop southeast of Woodstock. Now, I've been looking at the CC, and I haven't seen it on the new scan yet, but the rotation is definitely not as strong. It's very disorganized now, actually.
Okay. All right, let's go down there to it. That's good. So you're saying the rotation is not as strong as it was. That is great news. Hopefully this thing is moving out of that better instability environment. And is that what, I think he's talking about that right there, Brandon.
Yep.
Yeah. A little bitty, yeah, that's it. A little bitty correlation coefficient dropout just below Green Pond. There's Gray Hill right there. So that is a tornado there. It looks very small, most likely a weak tornado, but this thing could increase. We know that. Rotation increases, tornado gets larger. Let's look at the velocity, and I want to see what you're talking about, Brandon. Oh, yeah, look at that. It is really broadened out in the past scan. So that is excellent news. Still a tornado warning, but the rotation last scan is really broadened out. So perhaps the chance for a tornado is dropping.
Even the reflectivity is disorganized now.
Let's look at it. Oh, wow. Yeah, look at that. You know, Brandon, I think we're getting to the point where this thing is running out of instability.
It's running out of that fuel for the thunderstorms, the higher fuel, and kind of going into that more stable air across East Alabama. Yeah,
this may be it. This is probably it. Also, I do want to note all the thunderstorms to the south there. That is clearly impeding that inflow of instability into this particular thunderstorm. So, yeah, all these storms down to the south are choking the storm just a bit. And I think we got a new update from... What is that?
You know, Jason Davis at the National Weather Service in Birmingham was just kind of echoing what we're saying with the reflectivity kind of going down. So the rainfall rate is kind of decreasing. The storm is starting to fall apart. I just see that the Weather Prediction Center is issuing a discussion over us. I'll read that and get that to you in just a moment.
Yeah, so that's going to be a Weather Prediction Center. That would be for flooding potential. And really, this area all through here is concerning. It may end up being from Birmingham south, the major flooding concern from these particular thunderstorms. But this one is no doubt fizzling fast. There's other showers and thunderstorms across central Alabama that are not causing any tornadic type of problems. And it's so interesting. We've had one storm do all of this. One storm started below Meridian, Mississippi, moved into southern Sumter County, southern Greene, central Hale, and now is currently in northern Bibb County. One storm has done all of this. And that storm's been in a great environment. Go ahead, Brandon.
No, yeah, I was just going to say, that just one storm,
Yep.
rode that boundary all the way up to South Tuscaloosa toward Birmingham, and now it's running out of that fuel, and it's weakening.
Yeah, kind of a little bit behind the scenes, we look at computer model data and to determine what's going to happen on days like this. And one model in particular, the HRRR, I know for a lot of people at home that's technically you don't know what HRRR is, but it is a model that very accurately predicted this happening. It showed that one storm, everything else just rained, and that one storm that had a rotation with it. I don't know if you caught that earlier, Brandon.
Yeah,
I think it was a 12Z run that was showing that.
Yeah, they're going to cancel the tornado warning for Bibb, Jefferson, Shelby, and Tuscaloosa.
Good deal. Storm is dead. It's gone. That storm is done with, and I'm trying to remember what time we went on. It was 12:30, I think, or 12:45 when we got the first tornado warning in Sumter County. So it's been a while, almost 3 hours there of tornado warnings for that one storm. There's no other issues across central Alabama. So again, as Brandon mentioned, the National Weather Service is going to allow this tornado warning to expire for Jefferson, Tuscaloosa, Bibb, and Shelby. Let's look at this storm and just make sure we don't see anything that's trying to surprise us. And yeah, it's basically gone. Yeah, there's nothing left. I say there's nothing left. It's raining, it's pouring rain, but the structure of this thing is gone. It's toast. It should no longer produce a tornado. Let's look at the velocity and just kind of see what the wind's doing inside there. And yeah, it's done. This thing has totally lost its structure. So yes, it's raining. There's probably some lightning and thunder involved with that, but there's no longer a threat for Jefferson County, Tuscaloosa County, Bibb County, Shelby with this particular storm. It's over with. So let's go back out to a wide view. I know a lot of folks are watching us from other parts of Alabama trying to figure out what in the world is going on. Put on the Birmingham reflectivity. And there's no sign of any other tornadic storms in the coverage area. All of this is in stable air back here over West Alabama. These storms really worked over the atmosphere just a bit. We'll watch everything carefully down here. We still have technically a tornado watch this evening for any storms that could get organized out here ahead of this main batch of storms. But I will say this, Brandon, I don't see any sign of anything trying to go in terms of organization.
The radar very closely,
Yeah.
And been kind of scanning over all the storms, south of Tuscaloosa, everywhere. And none of them had the organization that one storm did for about 2 or 3 hours. Everything's pretty disorganized, not much rotation with any of them. We still got to watch it. There's a tornado watch until 6 p.m., so, it's still up for a reason. But as of right now, looking at the general, broad look of central Alabama, we're doing pretty good. The cold front's starting to come through West Alabama now. And once that cold front comes through, your threat of severe weather is over. Temperature's going to drop pretty rapidly, actually. And so most places that are in the upper 60s to near 70 now, once that cold front comes through, you'll drop into the 40s very quickly.
Yeah, once that happens, it's over in terms of any risk of severe weather. So I just want to show you this for a moment. Wide view of what's happening. Got rain and thunderstorms ongoing across central Alabama. I believe, Catherine, are you still in the control room? Okay. Have we heard anything new from Russell Weeden down in Hale County, the EMA director? Okay. Interested to see what they are finding down there. I tell you what, Brandon, if you want to organize those pictures here in just a moment and just kind of show people what happened down there. And we have had, and this is earlier from the Hale County EMA director, that's Russell Weeden, and he said there's injuries in Hale County near the Sawyerville area, and they were earlier, at least about 30 minutes ago, they were trying to cut into areas with chainsaws, and there are a lot of people trapped in structures down there. Multiple people calling saying they were trapped under mobile homes, which is just terrifying to hear. Hopefully those people are all okay. And I believe, do we have those?
Yeah, I've got the two pictures that I queued up, and we've just kind of been bouncing back and forth because this is about the only pictures I've seen over social media so far. I'm sure that cell service down there is pretty limited right now with all the damage that's going on. But this is a mobile home that we believe a mobile home that has been destroyed in Sawyerville. Most of this is 2 miles north on Highway 14. And so this is a good reason why we tell you not to be in a mobile home during a tornado. You can't survive it. You have to be out into a sturdy shelter during a tornado warning. So, and then this is very interesting. Brett Adair told us over the National Weather Service chat that he had 2 trucks that were in a pond, but he doesn't know where they came from. And we believe that this picture is the 2 trucks, and again, they don't know where they came from.
That's incredible, and I want to thank Brett, obviously, for sharing those pictures with the world here so we can see just what's happened down there in Hale County near the Sawyerville area. Very hard hit last year back on March 25th. Big tornado went through the Sawyerville area. It was an EF4 long track tornado. I think it was down for like 80 miles. It was down for a long time, and I know this area has been hard hit so many times by tornadoes, and you know, tornadoes, they can follow similar paths. You know, a lot of times it could just be a coincidence. Sometimes maybe geography plays a role in that. We don't really know the science behind that. Is just hard to understand and to explain. But sometimes tornadoes hit similar areas over and over again. And it seems like Sawyerville is kind of one of those spots that often gets tornadoes over and over again, it seems like. Let's go back over to radar, and I'm not going to stay on here much longer. We're going to go back over the program here in just a moment. I want to wait till after 3:30. When we're under a tornado watch, you know, warnings, we typically do cut-ins top and bottom of the hour, and skip it up on 3:30 now. So I just want to stay on here a few more minutes for people just now joining us for that 3:30 update. We've been on the air since about 12:40, I think, is when we went on for the first tornado warning, and there was one storm in our entire market that started in Sumter County and moved northeast and ended in northern Bibb County. That storm produced multiple tornadoes. We can look at the reports from that and show you the string of reports, and this is going to fill in. Obviously, we know we had, what, Brandon, you think 4 or 5 tornado touchdowns,
Probably
I believe?
about 5 with that one count in advance.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that quick one that popped up there near Vance. So we've had, we think, 5 tornado touchdowns so far with this one storm. But you see, north and south of that one track, there was nothing but rain and lightning and thunder. But again, we continue the rain and thunderstorms north of Tuscaloosa. Rain and storms continue to the south of Tuscaloosa, but there's no evidence of anything additional becoming severe. Technically, there is a tornado watch in effect for much of central Alabama until 6 p.m., unless that has been extended in time. I know they extended the area, but I don't think they changed the time there. So here's the setup. We've got active thunderstorms that are building more southeast with time. What's happening is the instability down here, they're soaking up the instability, these storms, and they are building closer to that fuel source, which is the Gulf of Mexico. So these storms will continue to kind of build southeast. And, you know, this may help us a little bit in terms of the flooding potential. Just kind of looking at the radar loop, it looks like this stuff's getting kicked off towards the east at a pretty good clip. So if this trend continues, perhaps cities like Tuscaloosa and Birmingham won't have as bad of flooding, but still the ground's very wet. It only takes one additional storm to produce a quick flash flood, and we still have some of those back in Pickens County, northern Sumter and Greene. So again, back to the west, things are drying out in Mississippi. A nasty ice storm been going on back in Memphis, Tennessee, and Little Rock. Some snow north of that. Some areas seeing over a foot of snow today. It has been quite a weather day across the southeast and the central portion of the U.S. So here's a look at radar, and I just wanted to take you into some areas, and let's look around. Go ahead. Okay. Okay, so we got Ajane that is in Hale County. Ajane, can you hear me?
Yes, Richard, I can hear you.
Hey, Ajane, so where are you and what do you see down there?
Yeah, so me and Keith here, we were on County Road 17, and I've only got one bar, so I might be going in and out right now, so I apologize. But we were currently going on County Road 17, and there's a ton of tree damage blocking the roads. No one can kind of get through right now. There hasn't been much that a lot of people are doing. Traffic is kind of backing up on that road. So if anybody is going down County Road 17, I'd try to avoid that road. Traffic is getting backed up. Trees are down, blocking the road. I believe to see that there was some people out there trying to clear those trees off the road, but it looks like it's going to take a while. There were some really big trees out there. But that's kind of what we're doing right now. We're going to try to take a different route this time, see if we can still get into Sawyerville, see what other damage we can get. and see kind of what's going on in that area. So currently taking a different route right now.
Ajay, have you seen any structures damaged on your path, or you not been able to get to any of that?
So far, we actually haven't even been able to get to see any structures down or any homes damaged. Right now, we're just seeing a lot of trees down, roads being blocked off. That's kind of what we're experiencing right now.
Yeah, it seems like, Ajay, the hardest hit area was on the north side of Sawyerville and kind of on the west side of Sawyerville by a couple of miles. If you're on Highway 14, you go through Sawyerville, you'll find some neighborhoods back there, and you'll see what's going on. But again, it's going to be hard to be able to get in those areas because all the trees down, as you mentioned. Have you spoke with anybody down there with law enforcement or EMA about injuries or anything going on with people down there?
So far, not yet. We do know that the EMA director is currently helping some community members right now. So once we get down there and kind of get a gist of really what's going on and where everybody's kind of at, then I'll have more on, damage and, what's kind of going on in that area.
Okay, Ajay, you guys be careful down there. It's obviously a lot of rain falling there, and I can imagine it's hazardous driving conditions. So thank you for that report and update, and I know you'll get back with us as soon as you hear something new.
Yes, of course. Thanks, Richard.
Thank you, Ajay. All right, so again, we're getting the reports obviously down here in Hale County around the Sawyerville area that seems to be the hardest hit from this particular tornado. This thing became violent for a short period of time and did a lot of damage on the north and on the west side of Sawyerville. So again, Ajay and Keith Dobbins, they're riding around in this area trying to get that information to you so you guys can see at home what has happened down there in Hale County. There's a storm down there that let's just look at real quick. I don't think it's going to be a storm that could potentially rotate, but let's just kind of see what they are dealing with. Again, near the Forkland area, let's look at the velocity with that and just double check for their sake to make sure. Yeah, I don't see anything there in terms of rotation. So I think those guys are going to be safe from that storm. Let's get back over to reflectivity and take you to a wide view here. Again, you got heavy rain in this tornado path that started in Sumter County near Cuba. It passed just south of Livingston. We had the tornado move near Forkland and then Sawyerville in Hale County. This thing really rapidly organized and produced what we think is a violent tornado near Sawyerville. Depending on what structure it hits will determine what the rating will be. And the National Weather Service survey crews, they're going to go out tomorrow. They're going to look at all this damage. We'll be able to tell you how long it was on the ground, how strong it was, how wide the tornado was, and obviously we'll continue to monitor that for any updates on injuries or if there were any fatalities. But so far, I have not heard of any fatalities, and hopefully that trend will continue. We hate to hear people injured and lose their property, but the best thing is that everybody survived the tornado, so we're going to keep getting that information and bring it to you as well. So quickly back to wide view for folks that are just now joining us on Facebook Live, or if you're joining us on television. We got rain and thunderstorms ongoing. We do note, Brandon, that some of the counties have been dropped from the tornado watch, which is great.
Yeah, Greene, Hale, Pickens, Sumter, and Tuscaloosa have been canceled out of the watch.
Okay, yeah, there you go. So we still got a flash flood watch in effect there. Jefferson, St. Clair to the south. Central Alabama, that's where that tornado watch is, goes down towards Montgomery. And quite frankly, these areas here, while there is technically a tornado watch, I don't think there's much of a threat for you for a tornado. Could happen, but I think we saw our strongest storm of this event already happen. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to go back over to the program. We'll be back here at 4 o'clock. We'll do an update at the top of the hour, give you a quick update. If we have a tornado warning, we'll come back on, stay here, and let you know what's happening. So we will see you at 4 o'clock.